Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. As always, it's me, your host, Fearless Floyd. Today is a drizzly thunderstorm Thursday afternoon, August, 29th, 2024. August is almost gone. We're getting ready to roll into September. Is what it is. To say I've had quite the evening yesterday and morning today would be an understatement. A lot going on. I want to thank those who have reached out to me. Keep them coming. Everything you do send me and tell me is 100% confidential. Absolutely. So I'm going to dive right into the show. Let me just go over here real quick. Make sure I'm bear with me. They've updated StreamYard. There we go. This is my website. When you hit the three bars over here, that's where we're at right now. Con artists, grifters, the scammers. You want to know who these people are? I have them profiled for you. I will be adding more and more on here, but we're going to talk about him here in a second. And then, of course, we have the new entry, and I will be amending this as I learn new information. But we're going to talk about this clown over here for right now. All right. So let me get over here back where I was. All right. This is the email I received. As you see, info at straightevents.com. Time is running out. Be sure and get your sovereign citizen clothing right here, your American State National clothing. Okay, and get your sovereign citizen flag so everybody, all law enforcement knows exactly where you stand. But private membership association includes articles of association, bylaws or constitution, membership agreement, hiring member agreement, public service notice, bonus material to self-educate yourself on how to stand and use a PMA, 7 to 10 days delivery after order, online support with trained advisor. Hurry, final opportunity to enjoy massive savings. All PMAs are discounted by $500 for just 3 more days, folks. If you've been considering organizing your business into a private membership association, now is the perfect moment to take action! ! To speak with an expert advisor, schedule a complimentary 20-minute consultation at www.pmahelp.com. Their schedule is wide open for Thursday, October 29th, 2024. So if you just want a PMA and, you don't want to save $500, you can come over to the Fearless Floyd Show and you can just click on this link right here. And it's going to pull up the Fearless Floyd Show store. Okay. And in here, I got this little old thing called a private membership association class right here by LeFlore, the backbone researcher of Bonds for the Win with Michelle Mickey Clan. She's also the author of this book on trust. She did a PMA class for a whopping, it was actually $149, and you got this book, the ebook, free. So, because we no longer offer the ebook as part of the promotion for this class, it's only $79. 79 bucks. That's all it is. If you don't know what she does, she's a multi-published author of data recovery hard drive manuals for various hard drive manufacturers. All right. So you're more than welcome to take this class. The class has nothing to do with trusts. That's part of the leftover from the promotion. I'll have to go clean that up. The people who took this class, and it is available only in one place. That would be over here. There we go. Private Membership Association class. This is what it looks like. There's 22 members in there who've taken the class. You're more than welcome to come join. Obviously, these people have set up their own PMA. But I've redone all this. And let me show you what that looks like. Okay, shouldn't be that many files. Here's the class video. You can see it was 1 hour and 27 minutes. Then we get a question and answer that was another almost 2 hours. So you can watch this video at your leisure. It takes a minute to download, as you see. But there you go. That's the PMA class for a whopping 79 bucks. It's extremely thorough, extremely detailed, and hit a grand slam, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, won the World Series. Cheers to you, Ann. Did an excellent job. So what I'm trying to explain to you folks, David Lester Straight is nothing but a grifter, a con, a scammer, drifting from the next money-making opportunity to get those dollars out of your pocket as much as possible. That's all he does. He is now, along with Bonnie, are soliciting a new money-making opportunity to the gurus. So be aware, he's got a new scam, a new scheme coming out with Bonnie. They're trying to partner up with somebody else to go run their scam. Okay, it's August, so it's September next month. Okay, you know what that means? So I got September, October, November, December. I got 4 more months. And around Christmas time, I'm going to do another video on David Lester Straight's mastermind program. And he originally stated that it would take a year to master the mastermind project where you would have access to your minor trust. So I look forward. Okay. And here's your invitation. And if you know anybody that's over in David Lester Straight's mastermind Freeman Bot program, I'm inviting them now to my show to come on, and they can tell us all about how they've accessed their minor trust through David Lester Straight and the Freeman Bot program. How many people do you think are going to come on this show? I've always been 100% accurate in my predictions. I'm going to say 0. You know why? Because nobody's going to have access to their minor trust. It's a money-making grab. It's a scam. That's all David Lester Straight knows how to do, is lie his ass off about all these historic feats that he allegedly has accomplished and done, when they're all just a bunch of freaking pack of lies. He's a scammer. He's a grifter. Got a great story. Probably a very personable guy, to hear him talk. I've heard his lectures. Doesn't add anything new. And listen, okay, that's a cult. And I can't wait to do this profile, this expose on cults with Buffy. I'm really looking forward to doing that, because it's so difficult for people to understand that they're in a cult. They're in denial. That's the first thing that pops up, denial. You don't want the embarrassment or the shame or the ridicule, especially from your friends and family who've been telling you all along, hey, you're involved in something you probably shouldn't be involved in. And you didn't listen. Now you're tied up in a whole bunch of bullshit. So we'll get on to that here in a minute. Let me continue on with what I wanted to present to you. So I just wanted to show you, the difference between David Lester Straight and what my platform offers, because I'm trying to give you the best bang for the buck, still retain value in the material, and still have the ability to put a little money in Ann's pocket and a little bit of money in my pocket to support the show. Okay. Yes, we make money on this stuff, and it costs me money to sit here and do this for you every freaking day. It costs me money to sit on the phone and talk to other people to get you real information. Okay. And I'm going to have Jeff Rom come on here in a minute and explain everything to you guys about what's really going on. So let me make sure that, no, I am not sharing. Share my screen. I don't know if I like this new thing that they have. They have a little drop down menu. Huh, that's strange. I'm not sure I'm liking that. All right. Oh, back over here. All right. Here's my PMA class. You see it, $79. Over here, the David Lester Straight, and they're telling you it's $500 off. So how much does the dang thing cost if it's $500? I don't know where that's going now, but I'm not going to stick around for it. There we go. Let's just go see what purchase does. PMA, $500 off. Learn more. Well, let's learn more. Always interested in learning. We're going to accept those cookies. We're going to save them for Christmas, give them to Santa Claus with a glass of milk. Oh, it's only $2,000. That's a bargain, huh? Wouldn't you say? They knocked $500 off for you. Isn't that cool? Isn't that sweet? Yeah. Here's some more trash you can buy. $150 for an affidavit. Jesus Christ. I can't believe he's ripping y'all off for $2,000 when you can go get the same thing for $79 over at thefearlessfloydshow.com/store. I mean, who has $2,000 to blow on a PMA? You can go get one for free. It may not be as conclusive and encompassing as Ann's, but yeah, trust me. If you've seen her book, you know what to expect. So, wow, what a joke there. All right, I want to play this for you. Guess what? Most people don't know, but today is the day that Skynet from the Terminator movie is supposed to go into effect.
Feature that lets you add your driver's license to your iPhone or Apple Watch started rolling out today in Hawaii.
The company says it could replace your physical ID at places such as TSA checkpoints and businesses. Annalisa Burgos shows us how the process works and tells us if it's safe.
Having your ID on your smartphone can be convenient, and like with credit cards and other personal info stored on your phone, it's important to make sure your device is secure. Here's how to set up your mobile ID. In the Wallet app, tap the add or plus sign, tap driver's license or state ID, and choose Hawaii. Scan the front and back of your card. Follow on-screen instructions to take a selfie and scan your face. AI verifies your information within minutes. If AI cannot verify it, it goes to the city, which must manually approve or deny adding your ID. The city's Department of IT runs Hawaii's driver's license and ID system and says it can take 2 to 3 weeks to be manually verified, and that's for security purposes.
I basically kicked off this project to put us into the 21st century and put Hawaii at the forefront of technology.
Chief Information Officer Mark Wong said rollout has been smooth so far. He suggests users take clear pictures of themselves and their cards, making sure there are no reflections. That can cause AI to force a manual review. Once on your device, your data is encrypted and stays encrypted when transmitted during a wireless scan.
So that means it cannot be read by any party that's not part of that exchange. And once it gets in your phone, you are the only one that can unlock that.
Security experts remind users to secure their devices and look out for malware.
They're essentially safe on the phone, but there is always a chance that if somebody does manage to load malware on another person's phone, they can make copies of things that are stored there.
Cybersecurity expert Alagata has these safety tips for your mobile device.
Turning Bluetooth off when you don't need it. Making sure that when you do download something from an email, just like you do on your computer, make sure you know who it's from. If you can run antivirus on your mobile device, go ahead and do that. And then power up off and on the phone on a regular basis. That will basically flush a lot of the memory resident malware.
For now, you can use your digital ID at the TSA checkpoint in Terminal 1 or select apps that require identity or age verification. To present a digital ID, hold the device near a reader and confirm the information to share. No need to hand over the device. You're advised to carry your physical ID as backup because this is a new technology. For example, police officers and law enforcement officials are not able to read mobile IDs. For more information, visit HawaiiNewsNow.com. Annalisa Burgos, Hawaii News Now.
Yep, make sure I'm still sharing because they changed the platform on me. This is Ohio, and apparently this is spreading across the country.
And welcome to 2 News at 5, a new program spearheaded by local representative lets Ohioans forego their physical state IDs in most situations. 2 News reporter Evan Bales now joins me live from the newsroom with more information on how this app affects the current system in both good and bad ways. Evan?
That's right. Ohioans now have the option to upload their state IDs in a digital format that they can access from their iPhone or Apple Watch's wallet. This new project is a collaborative effort between Ohio, motor vehicles, and Apple. Originally pitched by Dayton Representative Will Blackshear, this program has been in the works since September of 2022.
Yes, this idea actually came from a constituent. She lost her ID. We've all been in that situation where we've lost our IDs and just the hassle of having to go get another one.
You can use this program at select businesses, certain apps, and TSA checkpoints at both Columbus International Airport and at the Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Airport. Businesses looking to utilize this new method of identification can download the free app called Ohio Mobile ID Check.
It's a built-in privacy and encryption software from Apple, and it is used to make storing your ID secure.
The process for setting up the app is incredibly easy. Open your iPhone's wallet, select Add Card, then State ID or Driver's License, then follow the on-screen instructions from there. This November, though, make sure you bring a physical copy of your state ID because the digital format is not valid. However, this is something Blackshear wants to consider for the future.
You'll have people who may run into a situation where they do, somehow, some way lose their ID. I think it is something that we should most definitely look at just to see if it's something that we would like to see here in Ohio.
Now,
There you go. That's what we have to look for. I want to draw on you real quick. This is the Unity Tour by Louis Herms. He is traveling across the country, united to eliminate New World control, illegal immigration, trafficking, all of it, election manipulation. It's a free event. The website is screwbiggov.com. You want to see the video, go watch that. They will be in Plano, Texas on the 6th of September, next week. That's a Friday. The event will begin at 5:30 p.m. And knowing Doug and Kiki, that thing could roll well into the wee hours of the night, like AM hours. Would not surprise me. Fantastic art gallery. If you get a chance, go check it out. Sky Pony Gallery. The shop's at Willow Bend in Plano, Texas. I may go try to catch him here in College Station. I may even be up in Plano. If I'm up in Plano that Friday, I will do a live that evening from the gallery, covering everything, introducing you guys to a whole new group of people. So we'll see how that rolls. And for those of you who watched my videos yesterday, this is Sam Anderson, aka J-Boy. You see from his shirt and I believe this is his wife, their shirt too, says J-Boy Productions. This is his failed film career. I'm going to tell you now, it costs a lot of money for a movie production. So maybe you guys have been supporting his film career instead of his baseball league or baseball team. You never know what you're funding, do you? You don't have any receipts for anything, do you? So I wanted to run through this so you guys can, kind of see what he's all really about. He wanted to have a film career. He wanted to make movies. Obviously, he's not very good at it because he's not successful. Just pop this over for you guys. Juan C. Vasquez, El Rey de Indie Films, and Royal Rolls will present May 2023, last year. This was the screening of The Squad, Rise of the Chicana Squad. And I know you've seen this gentleman right here in many, many, many movies. This is Juan. That's Kenny Ruiz over in Pompano Beach, Florida. I attended this screening. I know Juan. Juan's been on my show before. And that is a filmmaker, a real filmmaker. And this is Robert Lasardo right here. So I know a real filmmaker, a writer, a director, a producer, an actor. And I told Sam that. I said, oh, yeah, I got a guy down here, man. I'm going to be in his movies. I was in his trailer for this movie. For those of you who didn't see that, I'm at the very end in the music video with all the local Houston rappers. I'm sure you've heard of the Underground Kings. There you go. Got to meet all of them. So anyway, let me jump back over here. We're talking about the Unity Tour. And then we jumped over here to Sam and his failed film career. And I've got pictures of me on the set, you know, with Juan. Last time he did a audition, I showed up and he's like, oh, man, what are you doing here? I'm like, shit, it's your audition for your next gig. He's like, call me. Don't even bother with the bullshit. Call me directly. I was like, okay, I got you. And sadly, I was in an accident in May, so kind of been laid up doing that. This is my Friday's guest tomorrow, Dr. Kia Ebeling. That's pronounced Kia, like the car manufacturer. She's a PhD, past life regressionist, clinical hypnotherapist. She's also a ordained metaphysical minister. You can find her at metaphysics.com. It's her website. I'm sure you guys will much more enjoy a prettier face than mine. There she is. Can't wait to have her back on the show because she used to be a regular guest on my other show. This is tomorrow's guest, or actually today's guest, I'm sorry. This is Cory, Nature is the Answer. This is Cory right here. And this is a very astute young man who I think is way ahead of the curve for his age bracket and somebody that we should all look forward to having rise through the ranks to be somebody. So I personally have reached out to him to help boost him and his channel and his message, because I'm always trying to help people. Somehow I developed into a humanitarian without even realizing what I was doing. But here I am in the seat. So I'm going to continue to do what I do as always. You know, I can whip out the Bible, but you know, we know I do everything under the divine. The divine's running it. I'm just a messenger. So, let me dive into some news, some real news for you guys. I'm going to make a phone call. Let me go look at the comments real quick while I'm queuing this up. I don't think Buffy made it today, but everybody, Bailey 775, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Rathburn or B Rathburn 13, good afternoon. Pick 6 prime time, how you doing? Grip, I see you're back. So any word from the chief since Monday? Of course there is, and I'll get right to that. Didn't the Lord make us sovereign? You pay somebody some bull. Well, speak of the freaking devil. Oh, where'd he go? He hung up. Well, let me call him right back. Grip. I know YouTube part is out. Yeah, I'm banned until Tuesday, so give me a minute.
Hello, Lord.
Harry Potter. Hey, how you doing, brother?
Okay.
All right. Well, we got you hot live on the air.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm fine. Hey, everybody. This is Jeff Rom, the asset manager for the Rodriguez estate. And while I'm on that topic, I will tell you guys it is now Thursday. We're approaching 1 week since I sent my invitation to Elizabeth, the heir, beneficiary, queen, relative of the alleged Rodriguez estate. And obviously, she's read my message and she has not contacted me in any shape, form, or fashion. So apparently, you can take it for what you want just based on that. All right, Jeff, let's dive right in, man. What you got this week?
Well, as long as you brought it up, yeah, I wish Wolverine would stop saying it's tomorrow, it's tomorrow, it's today, it's here. It hurts people, you know. People don't go and do what they're supposed to do because they think they're going to be rich tomorrow. So I would ask Wolverine to stop saying that, man. Come on. I mean, you can give information without promising people, that tomorrow's it or this week's it.
Right.
Also, we agreed that, telling the bad guys, what we're doing makes them stop doing it. So you're hurting the people that you're telling by telling them, and you're hurting all of us by telling the bad guys. So I'd like to, keep in mind to all bloggers that we need to cut that out. Moving on, let's see. I heard Mark say there's, quiet out there, but it is quiet. But on my end, things are booming. All kinds of stuff has happened back there. The funds are in place to be distributed. There's all kinds of things that are ready to go now. I think we're going to see that roll out. They said it would be a shotgun blast of the Zimbabwe and everything in the first 5 baskets. The first 5 in the first basket, but now they're saying it's going to be a slower control rollout, that they're going to start with the people with contracts, that they're watching those people with the funds, especially the Zimbabwe holders, because they're going to do my understanding is up to $200 trillion, which is just 2 bills, you get a 1-to-1 exchange. So if you have a $50 trillion bill, you get 50 trillion US. But after 200 trillion, that's it. Doesn't matter if you have a train car load of those bills, they're only going to give you $25,000 or something like that for them. So, the Zim is on deck. The others are all on deck, and it is happening. I've been sworn to secrecy on dates. They don't give me an actual date. They give me a range. I can only tell you that it's soon because they asked me not to tell. And, I'm asking the other bloggers, please stop telling the bad guys what's happening because they just changed the plan and hurt us all. So I'm not going to tell you. I can only tell you that it's really soon. The money's in place to be distributed. I would say that September is a very lucky month. Some people are saying, it's going to start on Friday, but I don't know. I'm just saying, there's a bunch of rumors out there. But what I do know is fact is from the 3 letters and from the estate, the funds are in place. And Reno is gearing to go. And they're going to start with everybody with a contract and go with a slow, controlled rollout. They're going to make sure that the people that are getting the money are keeping their mouth shut and, not out starting trouble with it. So that's my understanding. And I don't have exact dates, but I can tell you the money's in place. It's here in the United States. They're in possession. They're ready to distribute. And it's an any minute thing. All right. Have you heard from Chief? I spoke with Chief's wife, and she apologized. She said, Chief, doesn't always remember everything. When we're on live on a podcast, and he didn't mean to, but there's all kinds of medical cures going on out there, and we're not going to talk about them. But all kinds of medical cures that the Chief brought up, and Chief's right. Ought to be any old time now here. Med beds are also on deck. My understanding is there are 64,000 med beds here in the United States out of the 300,000 to be distributed. 64,000 of them are here in the United States now. And Trump is absolutely correct. They intend to start pulling all the antiquated hospital equipment out and slowly putting the lead bends in. So that's on deck as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything's coming around. A lot of the bad guys have been rounded up. I think the people are going to go into shock when they see who's been arrested and why. I mean, people that you would have trusted your kids with them. And, just heartbreaking to hear. Like, for instance, I heard the other day that Tom Hanks allegedly was amongst the guys arrested. Come on, Tom Hanks. I love Tom Hanks, And here they're allegedly accusing him of being a pedophile and, one of the worst kinds, torture and beating kind, not just sick.
Right.
Like extra sick and cruel. So, all right, yeah, it's I think people are just going to go into shock when you find out what the truth is, behind the truth. Like, for instance, I raised my kids and was raised being told that Christopher Columbus discovered America and the into the Santa Maria. When in fact they found Viking ships up in Grand Canyon that were there 1,000 years before Columbus was ever born. So there's those types of things that we all have come to know and love as part of America that are just a lie. And so all that's about to come out, and the cognitive dissonance is going to be off the scale. People aren't going to want to believe their ears. But there's nothing you can do about it. We've been had for many, many years. From fluoride, heck, I remember going to the dentist for a fluoride treatment where they took concentrated fluoride, jammed it all around your mouth, they hold it in there for a while. And here, that's poison, absolute poison. Pedophiles run the world, satanic pedophiles led by, supposedly reptilians. I mean, I heard Chief say that. I heard a lot of people say that, Admiral Byrd, and, numerous people that have been seen done. There's a lot of accountings of our military having run-ins with reptilian races that like to live underground, Vietnam, hotspots, caves, tunnels. But, they say that's another thing. It's just people are going to be blown away. And I was one of them. And I looked it up, and I looked and looked. I mean, I called people in the military. I called people. And sure enough, that stuff's real. But they don't tell you. They don't want you to know. There'd be a panic. Now, who doesn't want you to know? The elites don't want you to know because that's their masters. They serve the reptilian race, and the reptilians have them doing all this pedophilia crap to kids because, well, the reptilians eat us. But it's all coming to an end. For the first time in 6,000 years, the globe is organized and fighting the satanic Luciferian crowd, and they're they're trying to take the reptilians off the planet, and we see a lot of our off-world or worlders you choose what you want to believe, but a lot of our ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs are being deactivated. These ships are flying over our missile silos and things and deactivating them.
Wow.
It's crazy. There's they got to look at us as crazy. Here we got 39,000 nuclear warheads pointed at each other while we're still on the same planet. How dumb do you got to be? So they got to be looking at that saying, "Kids, do we really want these people to advance?" They're looking at us like, is it time for another Noah's Ark, a end of life event, an extinction event, or a near extinction event where they keep a fistful of humans around, wipe out the planet as we have seen in multiple layers of dirt, and Atlantis and Tartaria, if you believe in that, and whatever. I mean, there's just multiple accountings and proof of not just Noah's Ark being the one and only extinction event, but there's been like 30 or 40 of them. I mean, they find in layers of sediment where there'll be like 2 feet of just nuclear burnt ash, where anything and everything in that layer was just gone. And that's an extinction event. And Noah's Ark was an extinction event. I know they say Noah's Ark was to get rid of all of the Maleficent, which is the offspring of gods and human women, and they called them demigods, and that's where the giants came from. And all sorts of pollution happened to the human race and the genetics within us. And they say that, well, that was God's attempt to cleanse the earth of genetic mutations and combinations of things that weren't supposed to be there. They say the aliens been coming to the United States, coming to Earth for 100 million years. I know they say humans haven't existed that long, but they just found gold mines in South America that are 100 million years old. And we're being told we were only here for 6,000 years, right. 5,000 years. So we were evolved from apes and Darwin. Bullshit. And they say, well, how do you know that these were human, mines for gold in South America? Because the graveyards all around them were full of humans. We've been here for over 100 million years. If that doesn't, shock you, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, Columbus sailed the blue in 1492. Well, that's good for kindergarten classes, but people are going to go into shock when they find out the truth of what's happening in the world. I mean, we have deep space travel right now. We're doing it. We have our own astronauts and alien craft, reverse engineered alien craft that we are out flying 20,000 light years away and 10,000 light years away. We're doing 20,000 light years in about 45 minutes. And it's wave propulsion technology, which I'm going to into in a whole other show. If I'm allowed, I got to talk to some of the aerospace and State Department, make sure what I can and can't say.
Right.
And, we're doing it to it. It's just our government doesn't want us to know because we're afraid of what we do with it. Look at us, we're idiots. Look what we do. I mean, just pointing 39,000 nuclear weapons at each other while we're still on the same planet. I mean, if we shoot a nuclear weapon at somebody else, we kill ourselves. It might take a little bit longer, but it's dumb. It's just dumb. Anyhow, the disclosures are coming. People are going to fall out of their chair when they find out how much bullshit we've been fed.
Right. So when you talk to Hara, Chief's wife, Chief announced, sadly, we had to take the video down, but he announced Monday. Not Monday.
Yeah, I was not able to reach. I was not able to reach Hara to get some confirmation on that.
Okay.
But, Chief had mentioned that the payments had been going on within the tribes, and I'm going to have to confirm that. I did try to reach Chief before the show, and I was not able to reach them. But I'll be on the phone certainly here with Chief Billy James of the Indian tribe is also a close friend, and I'll find out on that end if I can't reach Chief. But yeah, he said that the funds have been released to the tribes and that they were in possession of those funds. But I'll find out. I just, I got that so late and I wasn't able to. I'm in the city for a meeting with some of the city officials, and I can't keep up with it.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, excellent news. Anything you want to close with? We're rolling up the top of the hour and I have the next guest coming up.
We are there. Med beds are real. Stop telling the bad guys we're getting paid. If you find out when, just vague about it. Don't say when.
All right.
And on a positive note, I'd like to remind everybody that keep in mind, dieting is not just about what you eat, but what you read and what you see and what you think. Did you know that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? Be careful who you hang out with. Be careful what you watch, what you read, and certainly what you eat. You become a product of your environment. Control your environment.
Absolutely. All right, Jeff. Well, thank you very much. If anything pops up, we'll be on tomorrow around the same time. And if not, thank you for being here. Thank you for the update.
Super, no problem. Good to hear from you, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, brother. Thank you very much. You have an awesome weekend.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. I actually got a private call during that time. I was unable to check it and answer it. So I don't know who called me. I couldn't send him a message. So it is what it is. And let me just check everything real quick, make sure that nobody's sending me messages. That's why y'all hear me clicking in the background, because I've got to check my texts. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. Like I said, they changed the format. They updated it yesterday from StreamYard. So there's some functions that I don't quite know what they do because they've changed things up. Hey, Debbie, 1959. As you see, we don't have a problem with the trolls. They seem to have disappeared for some reason. So while we wait for Cory to come on, I want to address that for you guys. Okay? This is very serious. And this is to everyone that is associated with Sam Anderson, J-Boy Productions, or if you've disassociated yourself with him recently, I'm going to tell you, okay? Y'all are involved with a criminal, a serial criminal. You don't have to believe me. You're more than welcome to call your attorney, call legal counsel, and just explain to them what's going on. You know, it doesn't excite me to have to tell you that you're in a cult. It's actually very depressing. And it sucks to have to be the one to tell you that you're in a cult. And you're still brainwashed by the cult leader and the dogma of the cult leader, for the benefit of the cult leader. And if you continue to stay in with him, you're going to get rounded up. They're going to consider you a big fish in a small pond. And they're going to hold you accountable. You're going to take the brunt If you don't think Sam Anderson is going to flip on each and every one of you, you are sadly mistaken. Hang on, let me send Cory the link. I thought I'd sent it to him previously, but hang on, Cory. I know you're watching. I'm going to send it to you in Telegram. Okay, because it's well documented, seriously, well documented that Sam Anderson and his groups, whatever they're labeled, whatever Telegram label that they want to create, or whatever social media platform that they use to congregate, to coordinate attacks, that's a criminal enterprise. And if you've done it more than once, it's a second-degree felony, which is 2 to 20 here in Texas. Texas has a law of parties. That means if you and I are going to eat at Chili's restaurant, grab some ribs, and along the way, I tell you to pull over, stop at the Shell station, I want to grab a pack of cigarettes, and I run in and I rob the place, and you don't know about it, and we go eat at Chili's, and then the SWAT team comes to Chili's and arrests us for robbing the Shell station, and you're just totally befuddled, don't know what the hell just happened. Now you're facing 5 to 99 or life for a first-degree felony that you know nothing about. You weren't compensated. You didn't get a part of that. You didn't plan it. But it's called law of parties. And I encourage you, if you're in another jurisdiction and you've been complicit with Sam Anderson and those attacks on social media platforms in Houston or in Fort Worth, because that's where Sam Anderson is based, Fort Worth, Texas. So you're under Texas law, Texas jurisdiction. It's called law of parties. Doesn't matter if you're in Detroit. Doesn't matter if you're in Australia. There's going to be a warrant issued for your arrest. And then when you get locked up, you're going to have to make bond. You're going to have to hire an attorney. And if you get a civil suit filed against you, you're going to have to defend that and file and hire another attorney. So you're starting to see where it's going to cost you a lot of money to continue your affiliation with a scammer, liar, grifter, con man. Because that's all you're doing. You're just digging a bigger grave, a deeper grave. And by all means, if you want to, knock yourself out. I'm not going to stop you or prevent you from doing any of that. See, Buffy made it to the show.
Hey, and so is Cory.
Yeah, we have Cory here.
Cory's here too. Okay, I'm dipping out. Nice to meet you, Cory.
Nice to meet you.
All right, Buff. Well, we have Cory. I didn't quite finish that, and I wanted to address that. I'm sorry, Cory, that I'm having to do this.
No, I think it's a very important announcement.
Well, people don't understand when they're in a cult and they get shattered. And there's some people over in his group that are just mortified, shocked, empty inside, don't know who to talk to, don't know what to do, don't know who to trust. And listen, this is what I do. I expose cults. I expose grifters and scammers, just like what Sam Anderson is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've kind of made a career out of it, and I'm very good at what I do. And I have 100% track record. And I encourage everybody, you don't have to listen to anything coming out of my mouth. I encourage you to research and vet everything I tell you. So when I tell you I have a direct line to every Houston cop, you better believe me. If you think I don't know who John D. Whitmire, the mayor of Houston, who has pledged he will not sweep another case under the rug in the city of Houston as long as he is mayor, I don't have a contact with him. You better recognize I'm trying to be real nice about this, real polite, real gentle with all of you, and give you a chance to come clean with your own self and your own conscience and extract yourself from a cesspool of criminal activity, because that's what you're missing. You think you're going to hang in there and fight this? No, you're hanging in there with a criminal committing more crimes. And Sam Anderson will throw you under the bus faster than he can get your name out of his mouth. I promise you. Sam Anderson is not going to go to prison. He is going to do anything and everything he can to stay out of prison. And if that encompasses throwing all of you under the bus in prison, he will do it. I'm 100% correct, and everything I do is under oath. So you can listen to the divine or you can go listen to the devil. And with that, I'm going to bring in the future right here. Cory, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I think you're a rising superstar. You are going to be something in the community, and I'm very proud, honored, and humbled to have you here. And when you guys hear Cory, you're going to be blessed. I'm telling you, he's on top of his game. I have somebody at my door.
All right, I guess I'll take over the show. Hi,
I'll help
Buffy.
out. It's okay, Cory.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, how's it going?
It's
Yeah.
going good. Yeah, I told Floyd, I was like, you need backup, Floyd.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's all about cults, what we're dealing
Yes,
with.
it is. Absolutely.
From one cult to another, people are realizing that the truth is not going to come from some external authority or source other than themselves. And unless you're talking about God or truth or nature itself, you are a part of that. But
Right.
people are worshiping people as
Right.
though they
Yeah.
are deities.
Right.
And they treat government as a religion. And
Yeah.
when they escape that religion, they just go to another, not realizing
Mhm.
that it may not be any better.
Right. It's called
Employing the
cult
same
hopping.
strategies.
Cult hopping. Yeah, I've read a lot, or I follow Daniela Mesnick Young, who is she was in the Children of God cult.
Yes.
And then she
Wow.
went from the Children of God cult into the military, and she's like, "Oh, this is a breeze. It's just another cult, right?"
Gosh, that's crazy.
But she's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I interviewed my friend Daniel Arnold. He was 30 plus years in like all the different types of law enforcement, you name it. And he came out of that. He's like, man, I didn't realize all this time I had this ego. He had this spiritual awakening one day. He's like, wow, I didn't realize, I've been doing this all this time. And it's because you're trained and indoctrinated into believing in your own ego and
Yep.
solidifying it to the point where you don't question your own authority, and certainly would
that's
not let anybody
because
else question it.
Yeah, because they get you into the hive mind where you lose total sense of self-identity.
Right.
Your ego it becomes enmeshed with everyone else's ego, which is essentially the cult leader's agenda and
Yes.
goals, right?
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you seem to kind of grasp this, because it's psychology, right? And it's philosophy, and you're not going to usually hear that in a lot of independent media, a lot of people who talk about the truth. But yet, how important is it, right, that we look at that? Because if we want to change the world, that relies on our actions, and our actions relies on what we know, our first
Right.
principles, our fundamentals. Do we have those figured out? Right.
Exactly.
So I define concepts like freedom and slavery and get really basic with it, because many people can't even define the basic terms. So
Right, because we've been
yeah.
super dumbed down. On my channel, I examine the occult, and I'm now starting to come out with my own story of how I've escaped the cult of one person, which led into a cult hopping into the cult of Amun Hillman of Lady Babylon 666, which is it's becoming very dangerous. So I would look into that if you're into looking into the cults, and I'm going to be covering a lot of stuff that I'm not ready to come out with yet, but they say bring receipts. I have receipts.
Yeah, wow. I definitely want to connect with your work then. I'm unfamiliar with it. I would love for you to link that to me. Share that if you can.
I
Um,
will put it I'll put it in private chat.
yeah.
Definitely. I'll definitely put it in private chat. Now let's see if Floyd is ready. I think he's off the phone. I didn't mean to steal the show, but I'm good company. Hey, Floyd. Floyd says no.
I
Okay.
wonder
Hey,
if
Floyd.
anyone here in
He's
the
playing
chat
peekaboo. Okay.
is anyone here in the chat. I'm curious if they know about Mark Passio, or even if you
I
do
know
about.
about Mark Passio. Yes. I
Yeah.
followed his work for a good bit. Yeah. I've
Okay.
been into the occult since 1999, raised Southern Baptist. So I've kind of been around a bit.
Wow.
All
Yeah,
right. I'm
so
going
a lot of people who follow my work know about Mark because I'm in his network. He's one of the first people like in independent media to really open up to my work, and that was like super cool. And I lived in Pennsylvania, and he was in like Philly or so. But when we're talking about cults, it's funny because he knows that some of his followers love his work so much to the point where they worship him kind of, like a deity. They take every
Yeah.
word he says so
Mhm.
literally. And so he has a
Mhm.
sticker at his events he purposely uses on purpose. He calls himself the anti-cult leader. He jokes around, but he's a good dude. Like he's generally he's not living on much of an income. The dude is just living his life, and but many people treat him as though he's got all this knowledge because he's great. He's really good at delivering the message, but that comes at a cost to those people who are totally broken. A lot of them that come to him,
Right.
right, from like the military or from the jailing systems, and they're looking for hope, and so they find people like Anna von Reitz or Mark Passio or others, and they start
Common
saying, wow,
Hillman.
they're
Yes.
saying the truth. And
Right.
so, unless they develop a personal autonomy in their own worldview, they start getting trapped into another worldview that's not theirs, right?
Mhm.
So, are they truly free, or are they just another form of slavery or mental servitude to one degree or another? I want to create the most amount of freedom and personal autonomy for everybody. And I know the word person might not be the best one to use, but you get the point. So, I'm about context here. And I'm a bit controversial in the assemblies for that reason. You
I'm
know,
very controversial too. I mean, I am a cult defectant, I
Mm,
think is what it's called, cult defectant. Once
yeah,
I realize what's going on, I kind of eject myself.
yeah. Yeah, and I know a lot of people in the assemblies. I told Fearless Floyd, I mean, when I reached out to him, I said, man, I have a lot of different stories that I could share, but I wouldn't want to, just throw people's personal lives into everything. But I definitely know there's a lot of whistleblowers that you haven't even seen. Your audience has not even seen, people that I've met. Some of them are public with it, and they've gone down interesting routes, and they would tell me things like, well, I was part of the foundation, but they all got arrested. Like I would hear things like that. All my friends got arrested when we were all starting that. It's like, whoa, that's interesting. And when you have all these different whistleblowers on your show, I mean, that right there is enough, to be like, there's something's not right. And it should not be just passed off and say that shouldn't be looked into. These are
Exactly.
people that have stories. So
Right. If you look up the Imagination Podcast channel on YouTube, Emma is doing nothing but interviewing people that are coming out of like MK Ultra type programming, 3-letter type situations, you know what I'm saying?
mhm,
And just exposure. There's been a lot of exposure and more exposure that is coming out, more people want to talk about it. So Floyd will probably be flooded very soon once we start talking cults about people that have left cults.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy.
All right. Okay. All right, Buffy. Let me get back
Yeah,
to Cory.
I didn't mean to go down that route, but I did tell her. I
Yeah.
said it's all about cults. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah. Sadly, it is. All right. Welcome to the show again. Give us a little bio about yourself, how you got into becoming a podcaster, influencer. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you're located, your age, and what your mission statement / goals are towards the future. And I'll give you the floor. So
Thank you. I like the fact you're like your age. I mean, that's a lot of people I talk to, and a lot of the events I do too. And I have a lot of my audience is mostly 40, 50 and up, basically at the moment. But I plan on getting involved with the younger generation. I'm 24, for those of you who don't know. And I think that piques a lot of interest for individuals who are on a truth or freedom seeking journey, because they find this out later in time that they were lied to and so forth. But I think because the information is spreading so rapidly, despite the censorship, there's actually a lot of people like myself who are in the younger generation who are starting to pick up on what's going on. Or at least asking questions about what's going on. And frankly, that's all I did when I was growing up. I started out around 13 or so researching ingredients in the grocery store. I would just pick up a product and start reading it and then start researching it. I'd be like, hey, mom and dad, you should buy this product instead. Over time, as I realized that we are basically lied to about the food that we eat, and that there's cancer causing ingredients and all sorts of crazy things that people are just finding out now, I realized, shoot, why are we not being taught this? And this is kind of special. So as a kid, it's like, whoa, I have this knowledge no one else has. And so I start looking into it and sharing it with others. And sooner or later, now it becomes a passion, right? But for me, it's like a necessity because it's like literally what we're eating. And then I start working out and I start thinking, I start journaling, which is huge for me. And as the time went on, I got into nutrition, took a nutrition course. Then 2016 came around, got political, became a super pro-Trump right-winger, basically. Could uphold every stance under the sun for Mr. Lord Trump. The way people treat him like nowadays is, as we've talked about with cults, a deity leader. You know, somebody's going to save us, the savior. That's how everybody treats governments throughout history. Just look at the way people worship Hitler, if you want, or Stalin, or any of those guys in World War II. It's quite concerning because people have the same mentality now when it comes to other people. They don't run their own lives. They don't own themselves. And I did not see this contradiction when I was in politics. I never asked myself the psychology, never asked myself the morality of it. I was stuck in a cult. We can all say that probably some point in our life we were stuck in some sort of mindset. Now, whether one degree or another we want to call it a cult, that's another thing. But frankly, it's something that gets us stuck, pigeonholed, in believing that we need to give away our own authority to someone else. You know, we need to do campaigning for them. We need to give them money. We need to do all these things. In reality, is that actually going to help us, or is it helping them or some other agenda? And that's what we have to ask ourselves, right? Is it true that voting and the political process and Trump or all these guys that we look up to, are they really going to give us freedom? Or is freedom going to come from the people themselves, right? We say we the people for the people. Well, where is that? Why is that? And let's look at those ideas deeper. You know, were our founding fathers perfect? Were the Constitution, the Holy Grail that they wrote, perfect? What about the censorship that happened then? What about the American abolitionist, right? So I look at these, and now, you know, that's one of my focuses. I wrote a book called Slavery Gone for Good, right? So I'm an author. I write books now. And ever since I got out of politics, if you ever heard of the term voluntarist, that's what I am now. If you follow the works of Mark Passo, you would know what that is, or people like Larkin Rose, and there's many others. They don't have much attention in independent media, but I project that they're going to have a lot more followage in the coming years because they're hitting it on the nail. They're getting to the root cause as to why we're not free. It's a belief system that's called statism. And this belief system has permeated generations of time. And this, I believe, from a psychological point of view, from a historical point of view, is the only root cause problem to nearly all the evil that we see in our world. There's always going to be evil. The question is the manifestation of evil, the aggregation. And so when I was, coming out of politics and asking myself these questions, I couldn't wrap my head around it, right? Because I had like a blockade. There's always cognitive dissonance when you learn new information, right? It's like, how does that make sense? Like, what does that mean? My conscience, like, if the commands of a political authority go against my conscience, do I obey the political authority because they're more important than me, or do I follow my conscience? Like, which one's more important? Do I obey the law or follow what I know to be right? Like things like that, right? Would get me stuck into a little bit of like a rut of like, what do I do? Right? Because I would never ask myself these questions. And again, in politicians, school, they're never going to ask you moral, psychological questions like that. But yet they're so fundamental because if you did, World War II wouldn't have happened. The millions of people that support Hitler, they're the ones who take the action to hurt their fellow man. It's not the one person. It's the millions who follow them. Right? So we can attack the leader. We can attack the person who's running the show, we say, but they're not really. One person doesn't make this world. Tons of people do through their beliefs, through their actions. So that's where our work relies. So now my work is with the people, It's not just about myself, my own beliefs. I'm not projecting onto the world saying this is how the world should be. I actually want people to live their own lives voluntarily. That's what it means to be a voluntarist. Think what you will. Just don't impose it on someone else using violence. Very basic. I think most people can agree with it. They have superstitions, justifications in their own head that say, oh, well, we can't be free. Just like back then in the 1800s. Oh, well, without the slaves, who will pick the cotton? Oh, without government, who will build the roads? It's the same exact excuses. People don't want to be free because they are programmed into their slavery. That's a hard statement to grasp.
Absolutely. Institutionalized program, dumbed down and miseducated. Absolutely. Sadly.
Yeah, and we can prove it, right? But as much as we want to prove it, we can show people all day all the different aspects of the system through so many different ways, and that can be beneficial for different people at different times. The best strategy is, frankly, people learning through experience or you asking them questions. Socratic dialogue, right? And getting them curious, helping them learn for themselves. It's really our best way. I don't meet people who tell me, oh, my friend lectured to me for 3 hours and I became a truther. I don't hear that. I hear, oh, 2008 or COVID or 2001, certain events in their life or things that made them question, oh, I heard this on a radio show, right? I saw this on a website like we're doing now. This is changing the world. This is why they have to censor. It's why they have to take it down.
Absolutely.
But for my generation, that's huge. You want to know, like, how do we get my generation? It's content creation, but not a lot of people are willing to do that. And then also high energy, and bring it to their angle, which I plan to do more on my channel because I'm not going to lie, people say I have an old soul. I kind of write books for a living and I do a lot of tedious work that a lot of people my age wouldn't do. So I'm not like super in tune with my generation.
How many books have you written?
About 7.
Okay. Do all of you feel insignificant and inadequate now? A 24-year-old who's written 7 books. What do you think it's going to look like when he's 48? How many he's going to have under his belt? This is why I found Cory. I heard his word and I was like, man, he needs a boost. So I'm here to help boost him up, give him a little bit bigger voice. And again, he's always more than welcome to come back on my show. He's more welcome to do a static piece if he wants. Come on once a week, every 2 weeks. Anything I can help out to get the message across to a broader audience. Cory happens to have the younger generation, Gen Z, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate that.
Hey, no problem. Hey, I'm jealous. I don't have a book.
The thing is, right, is we're all progressing, and age to me was always a number. People judged it for good and for bad. It's like, frankly, it's like you. When I was 13, I'm questioning things. Imagine you're 13 or you're 16 and you're like, oh my gosh, you're lied to. Are people going to take you as serious? You know what I mean? As it is, you're saying that they're being lied to. On top of that, you're a younger individual. So people have all these different things in their head. They can't look at something objectively for what it is. They have to judge you by, like someone said in the chat, guilt by association. That's just one method. But others, basically all along the lines of cognitive dissonance, they just everything is about, what they have solidified in their ego for so long. That's what Buffy and I were talking about before. It's
Right.
hard to kind of escape that, which is partly why I also I wrote books on different subjects because they do different things. So like I have a book on Taoism, which comes from Eastern philosophy. The whole idea of Taoism is returning to the uncarved block, or seeing like your original self. And in other religions and other philosophies, they have all different ways of saying the same thing. It's like the beginner's mind, thinking like a child again, or just kind of being able to look at the blank slate. So you're not programmed, like trying to get beyond your programming. That's essentially the idea of a lot of Eastern philosophies, down to the essence, of meditation and the true purposes of it. Not to distract yourself and get yourself away from the problems, but to find out your original self, right? So I thought that was
Tell us,
interesting.
tell us about all 7 of your books. You just told us about one. Give us the title and tell us when you published it. Tell
Sure.
us where the book is available so somebody can go get it or even go just read about it.
Yeah, so I have some of them with me. So Slavery Gone for
Okay.
Good, this one I recommend to all the people out there who care about freedom. All right. This one is really, it's a big boy. It's got pretty much every topic under the sun. If you want to define basic concepts of freedom, ownership, and get to the root cause of what is causing our slavery or tyranny, then you want to read this. I call it the most important work in history. Several reasons why. I go over history and I share to what I believe to be the biggest truth, or lie, depending on how you look at it, which is that government, ever since its foundation, has always been and will always be slavery. Look up basically, how do you create a slave? Jailing, capture, war. Name a government that hasn't been based on those things. We're kind of evolving here, the human destiny. This idea of freedom, natural rights, natural law, or even republics, constitutions, democracies, these are new ideas. For many thousands of years, we've used monarchies and slave systems, and those traumas, those experiences are still passing into today. And these forms of king and queen are just passing merely into different forms that we're unable to see. And I document that through so many different writers, so many former slaves and psychologists all throughout this book. So it's a very important thing to me, which is why I call it the most important. I mean, what could be more important than slavery or the complete ownership of another individual? This to me is like the greatest form of evil you can account for. And it's a work, because it's a work to try to unenslave somebody. It's not just a work to understand it, or a work as in the book itself. It's a work that you have to do, because without you, we're all enslaved. It takes an effort of many people becoming abolitionists who want to end slavery. It's not as simple as one slave saying, I'm free. I'm going to free everybody. The slaves have to free themselves, but they need the help of others who will arm them, who will educate them, and other slaves who will help, gather the courage and faith among them, which is why they sang songs and they had to learn how to read and write. Like, they didn't know how to do basic learning, like reading and writing. That's what kept them enslaved. So nowadays we're kept away from knowledge because knowledge is power, like that knowledge that I just shared with you. There's other books as well that I've written. In particular, I mentioned the one on Taoism. This is it. Tao, the Full Return to Nature. If you're unfamiliar with Taoism, you might know about this symbol here, the yin yang, right? You've probably seen that before. That comes from ancient China. Now, ancient China is very different from the China we see today, where Confucius and his ideas became more so the mainstream predominant ideology. Taoism, the guy Lao Tzu, who apparently wrote the Tao Te Ching, which is the second most translated work in the world after the Christian Bible, he left China when China was becoming corrupt and becoming very political, in a sense, because he knew it would become tyrannical. So he just straight up left. And when he reached the border, somebody stopped him and noticed that he was a philosopher, said, "Hey, I recognize you. Could you write down some things?" That turned into the Tao Te Ching. And now that turned into this book I have here. So it's known historically as one of the first freedom philosophies, like ever, the Tao Te Ching. And yet many people are unfamiliar with it. People think Taoism is a religion. If you want to think of it like that, you can. I look at it as a philosophy. I study everything, right? I don't close my mind and say that's wrong because it's this or that. I learn from everybody. And to me, there's a lot of gold. There's a lot of psychology in Taoism, which I think is why it sometimes gets misunderstood. You can see why people like Jordan Peterson or Carl Jung had such a fascination with it. It's because of the polarity, the duality in the nature of Taoism, and seeing the light side and the dark side, right? We all have shadows. We all have traumas that we have to face. And so that's like the dark side, the yin of the yang. And so when you understand that, you can kind of go into that aspect of yourself that you don't want to see, which might include truths that you have to see. And that's something that Taoism helps you see. But also experience, right? Again, that's the uncarved block. That's what they call it. So before it becomes carved and man-made, we're trying to figure out how do we return to our natural source, our natural way of doing things. My channel, my name, Cory, Nature is the Answer. That's the name of my channel on every platform. So my main message is, how do we return to nature? How do we not get too politicized, tyrannicized into this world, right? And so that's a process of return. It's a process of realizing our true nature. And that can take time. It's something that we're still evolving in our understanding. And I believe voluntarism and permaculture are our two action steps to getting there. Our two main action steps. There's, of course, many fields of study like Taoism that could help you get there, but natural law is another way. Mark Passio teaches that subject. But essentially, reaching voluntarism, that idea of a voluntary world, and permaculture, which is that we can work with the world and grow food effortlessly, these two solutions can benefit the world tenfold, frankly. So I hope more people can know about that. Floyd, where are you? But I have other books. Yeah. So my other books are my philosophy, Naturosophy. Naturosophy I created because of a common stigma in modern day philosophy where nature is bad, basically. The idea that nature can't be good. So like, oh, because there's a tornado or an earthquake, that means nature cannot be good. Because, you know, you can't say what is natural is what is good. If something says it's natural in the grocery store, that doesn't mean it's good. To me, this is just a way of legitimizing or making a justification that nature should not be seen as good, and making what I call an appeal to denature. So that's a whole philosophy I created based on my own journal writings and thinkings about the world. I wouldn't recommend that for everybody because it's a philosophy, right? But my other books are more practical, provide solutions, and help people, you know, see the history and psychology of things. So um, I have to write about anything I find to be of importance, and I do all my work for free. For the past 4 years, I haven't really made a dime. I could make money off of it. I just choose not to because I came into this with originally good intent, of like not really doing it to have to do it, right? I want to do it out of my heart. So I don't want to feel like I have to do it when I may not have to one day. One day, maybe there's so many people sharing my message that my message becomes irrelevant. Like, you guys may think, oh my gosh, I'm 24, I'm sharing all this stuff. It doesn't matter. You know, if everybody's sharing this knowledge, at the end of the day, you're going to have a billion 24-year-olds, you know, and they're all going to be sharing what I'm sharing. I'm going to become completely irrelevant, and I'm just going to go down in history like a beach wave. And I'm cool with that because that means we
We can
succeeded.
only hope.
Well, no, we don't have to hope. I know it will happen. But that's why I'm getting involved with the colleges and universities. I truly believe that if you can sympathize with people and connect with them on a heart level and don't go with an agenda, over time, as they learn from you and find out the knowledge that they need to know because it's the truth, I don't have to push it. The truth is ever present, right? So I have to simply have to open them up to what is. How do I do that? I have to just break the barriers that are keeping them down. Now, there's a lot of barriers, right? But the truth shines out like a beacon of light when you expose it to the darkness. It really does. Especially like permaculture is one example of how you can grow food, and you bring people through a food forest and you're like, whoa, what is this? And their mind opens up like crazy. Well, I've seen the same thing with natural law and statism and voluntarism. When people understand these ideas, it hits at the root to everything. Everything else in their worldview falls apart. Everything. If you guys haven't watched the movie, The Jones Plantation, watch it. It's by a guy named Larkin Rose, and the guy I've interviewed before, he's awesome. And his work definitely needs more attention in the independent media. He has animations online as well. But To me, that's the future of freedom ideas, is recognizing that belief system.
Okay. Well, you covered a couple, about three of your books, 4 of your books.
Yeah. Well, because the philosophy I developed has like 3 books of its own, right?
Okay.
And then there's the slavery book, and then the Tao book. I have a health book as well that I wrote originally. But that one is an individualized diet journey, I call it, because diet to me is not about, oh, I go on this for 1 week or 1 month. I look at it as a lifestyle, and finding out what works for you as an individual in your own environment. So not imposing a certain diet on everybody. It's the same concept with politics, right? We don't impose one worldview on everybody. That would be antithetical to freedom. So
Right.
that's what that's based on. But it's an older book, so it couldn't be revised in time. It's around 600 pages. Because I started that one out, when I was quite younger. So I don't recommend it, because of these other books are, when I was developing a much better author sense of writing. So I'm
Sure.
just being honest with you.
Okay. Where can we pick up one of these books, or all of them?
I should be on most retailers, and I have expanded distribution, and I'm self-published, so I don't have anybody doing it for me. I do all the covers, everything myself. But yeah, like, you can go on Amazon. People probably know about that. But it's there, so you can find it there. Slavery Gone for Good is the name of that one that I recommend, and the Taoist book is also great for those of you who are into spirituality or want to kind of get into meditation or any of those ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. You are just a bright young man with a bright future. Thank you.
Oh, it's just the beginning. I'm collaborating with people right now, and we're doing probably some of the biggest works I've ever done. And they're not even out yet, so it's going to be monumental. And I don't like to provide too many spoilers. I don't like to talk much about my, the things I work on until
Right.
they're done, basically. But yeah, they've never been done before, ever, as far as I'm concerned. So they're very important to me. And when I bring it to the colleges and universities, I challenge the professors. I challenge them, on their history, on their idea of social equality, on their idea of equal rights. Are they really promoting that? Or are they actually promoting just a flavor of slavery all along? Because
Right.
they can't get down to the fundamentals of what is ownership and what is freedom. And they still have an ego in wanting to impose on someone else, saying, I'm right, you're wrong. And because I'm sensitive and I'm the victim and I'm oppressed and I need to be respected, give me more rights than you, you
Right.
know, or the other way around. It's like, I'm not the victim. I'm super confident in what I know, and whatever. You get the point. Nowadays, they go on Twitter and they do these long rants, and they're like, "You're wrong," right? I'm not one of those people. If anything, I want people to get away from social media. So
Sure.
for me, it's about, this generation is going to be a little tough, right? I know I'm going to face resistance. I know I'm going to face controversy, but again, I'm going to be approaching with love, and I don't think they're unintelligent. I think they're misguided. And actually, I think that when you have 50 people on TikTok, what we're doing right now is going to be very insignificant to what they can do. They have the tools of technology that we don't know, that would blow us away. My generation, like, what they can do would just would shatter both of our works, frankly. Like, because we can involve comedy and humor and fun and all sorts of things into the mix, and now you got a whole culture of freedom, right? And when you change the culture and the social fabric of society, now you really change the world. And when you change the 20s and 30s, these people who are going to raise families and raise kids, you're changing the whole next generation.
Right. Okay. Buffy, I checked the link, taplink.cc/Cory Health. It
All
worked
my
for
links,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, that worked for me. So if you want to reach Cory, you can hit this link. Let me get it over here.
Yeah,
Make sure
I see the theme here.
correct.
A lot of people studying the occult in here. That's cool. The
Well,
word
that's
occult is
Buffy.
hidden.
That's Buffy, the Occult Examiner.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of RV people in here, and then there's a bunch of people who follow me on the private side. So there's no telling, Rumble has not been my primary platform. It's kind of been secondhand thing that I've had to
Yeah.
incorporate over the last week to master. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I was late. I'm still
Yeah.
getting the nuances of it down with StreamYard because StreamYard's new to me as well.
Mm.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Tell us about your parents, if you can.
Mm. Yeah, and I think that's a good question because people are going to be curious, I guess, about my upbringing. And before I get into that, I just want to say hi, Tom, Chris, and Daryl, some of the people on my end who, because I'm
Sure.
streaming on my channel. I just figured to give them a shout out.
Knock yourself out. Give
Yeah.
accolades to whoever deserves them. Yes, I don't have a problem with
All
that at
right.
all.
Yeah,
Hey,
thank you
Cory's
guys for joining.
streaming this on YouTube on his platform as well. So
Yeah.
we have a dual thing going on here.
Yeah, and everybody definitely check out the Fearless Floyd. He's a good dude. I love the fact he's challenging different communities, and I've encouraged that among a lot of different communities. There's people like Disenthrall who's challenging Mark Passio's community. I welcome every criticism there is, frankly. I think that's great because it makes us all improve on our ability to speak the truth. So whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. There, criticism is something that you can learn from. And if you're unable to take criticism, then that tells me something quite interesting, right? About an individual and if they truly are a truth seeker or if they truly are free in their own head. But, anyways, um, so my parents, they, I mean, honestly, just, I mean, parents, like really, really good, like parents. Like, I, that's to me is the basic foundation, right? If you have good parents, then you have a good childhood. I think I look at a lot of other families and I don't see their parents. I don't see their family. They're not together. The people I do see are who are together are certain ethnic groups, right? I mean, Chinese, Jews, whatever, and they tend to stick among themselves and they tend to be very successful for that reason. But when it comes to Europeans, and that's like my ancestry, I'm German. It's like, where is that? Especially in America, it's like you have all these different cultures kind of happening, and so, what's important though is that you just have some sort of family structure or social support. And I really had that. So I think that helped me become who I am. My parents did not know anything about truth or freedom or any of these ideas. And I grew up on a standard American diet. I ate sugar every day. They didn't question really anything. So, that wasn't helpful. But at the same time, they just supported my well being, like supported my mental state. They were always there for me. And I think just having that as a basis is really important because if they teach you, for instance, general morality, right, like what is right and wrong, and you go out into the world and you see that there's a bunch of people doing wrong, you're going to ask yourself, that doesn't seem right. So that's exactly what happened to me. They gave me general basic morals, and I took those morals and I went into politics, and I realized, wait, I'm making moral contradictions, and I don't see these contradictions. I watched a video by Brian Young, who's also known as High Impact Flicks. He's huge online. He used to have the top 9/11 videos online, each with 10 million views each. He's got like 50 different channels. The dude's a one-man army. I'd say he's the most powerful in independent media. He's a great guy. But he had one video that had like 5 questions. I sat down with my conscience and I was just like, whoa, right? So I use those 5 questions now in a lot of my videos. You'll see I put them in most of my videos so people can ask themselves those questions. And I put them in my books too. And basically, when I sat with myself with that and I journaled, I just over time found out about those ideas. And then just because I live with my parents and I'm close with them, naturally my ideas spread to them. And now we're all on the same page. And my mom and my dad could speak better than I do sometimes, on truth subjects. So I can just sit back and watch. So it's an amazing dynamic, but they didn't really do anything for my truth journey. But they did do everything. They were just supportive. Like, that's what more could you ask for, right? I mean, I can't really say, oh, they did a bad job. It's like,
Right.
frankly, it's like, they provide the basic essentials. They're there for me every step of the way. They still are. So that's an amazing thing. And I want to be there for other people. So that's why I'm trying to do a lot of projects now. Like, I'm trying to get land. I'm trying to find people locally in Florida, because that's where I am, to try to create things with other people and help other people and their foundations, and maybe do stuff with education and schools, or do stuff with libraries or whatever, and just try to get the community involved, try to create a social system around the people in this generation, or what have you. As it is, I'm mostly with my events, I'm like trauma support for conspiracy theorists, coming out of like the trauma of like, oh my gosh, I've been lied to. I'm like, my events are basically there to support them. So it's great and all, but we have a lot more people that we have to heal from from a practitioner point of view. We are
Yeah.
healing the world. This is a medicine applied to the world. It's not just to the individual. And that's why I shifted, by the way, from nutrition to politics. Like, I realized we can't just free one person. We have to change the world. It's the only way we're going to become free as like the human condition. Mankind. Am I allowed to use the word human here? How strict are you with the terms? I get yelled at all the time by the assembly people.
Oh God, no, I don't play all that.
Yeah, as like an
It's
author, it's hard, right? And I'm always reading different people in history. So it's like when they tell me you can't use the word individual or human, or it's like, what word am I supposed to use? It's at the end of the day, it's like, oh my gosh. But I look at the context. I look at, again, the actions, what people are doing. To me, that matters more than anything.
absolutely. Wow. Um, so you touched on two tenets that
Sure.
you espouse as the dogma for your mission.
Hmm.
Why don't you expound upon both of those and tell everybody what it's about, what your
Sure.
what your goals are, what you're trying to do, and what that looks like?
Yeah. So when you say two tenets, what does that mean? Like in particular, like nature is the answer as my main message, for instance, or
Well,
you're saying voluntarism and
and the permaculture, yeah,
permaculture.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I try to keep it very simple for people. So if you go to my website, theliberator.us, okay, go to that website, you'll see there's an action button and a learn button. I keep it that simple. And I wish if people out there in the truth community, they wanted to actually change things, to me, I think they can probably set up a rally within seconds. They have hundreds of thousands of followers online. They can totally change things. People like Alex Jones is being sued for like $1 billion. If you have that much money, why aren't you able to kind of change things by now? Well, regardless, we have to do it ourselves. Okay, that's story short. Like I can criticize other people all day, saying, "Oh, you're not doing the work for truth," but frankly, we have to do it ourselves. Sorry if I'm tearing up here, but yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and it's an important work that we have to do. And voluntarism is really getting to the heart of it. So I encourage you guys, if you haven't heard of people like Lysander Spooner, definitely look into them. These are, to me, the true American heroes in history. The Abolitionist, I focus on them for a reason. Their history doesn't get the spotlight as much as the American founding fathers, but they weren't more than 100 years after their time, and they saw the problems with the American founding fathers, right? They saw how governments are always based on this violence, and they're not protecting property and people. They are, invading it. If anything, they've always been that force. And so, when you come to understand the nature of government, you become an anarchist, a voluntarist. Anarchism, I don't use that word because of the bad connotation. And you can look at the foundations of anarchism in the 1850s, and those individuals definitely were not chaotic, throwing fire in the streets and just trying to rebel against the system. Today's modern day left or whatever uses anarchy as a means to just rebel and go against the capitalist and evil people. It's like, I'm not like that. And if you talk to any voluntarist, they don't come from that position. They come from the position of, okay, what is freedom? Let's break down the fundamentals. And I just want to live my own life. Don't you? Like, most people just want to live their own life. Frankly, the way we view anarchy is that it's simply reality. Nobody rules over your own life, right? Now, how you attain anarchy, or the state of no rulers, not no rules, is rules. Unless you have self-ownership, unless you know thyself, unless you have the understanding of natural law, for instance, or self-ownership, and the ideas of voluntarism, like these are all just different principles or fundamentals or rules to add to your life. Unless you understand that, you're never going to be free. Because if you don't have that idea of ownership with yourself, then you're a slave by definition. And again, the slaves were not taught how to read and write. It's knowledge that made them free. That's what Frederick Douglass said, a former slave, in his own words. So the minute he had the knowledge that he was a slave, he was now free, and it was irresistible, and he had no choice but to share it with other people. And of course, I equate government with slavery throughout my works, and that's a claim that I'm willing to uphold till the end of time. And I'm challenging professors on that. But it is a frank reality that I deeply exposed in my books, and now I'm doing documentaries on it. And just going back down to nature, ask yourself, these systems that we created, republics, democracies, constitutions, is this natural? Is this God's government? Is this God's law? Maybe you are a Christian out there and you follow, the commandments, right? Like, what is that in relation to man's law? Which one's more important? Are you going to follow God or are you going to follow man? And this is what the abolitionists saw. They said, you're not beholden to man. You're beholden to God's government. That's literally what they said. So they were known as the first anarchists in history, but they're not chaotic. They're coming at it from a very moral, religious, if anything, pacifist point of view. People like Leo Tolstoy. If you're not familiar with him, he's known as one of the greatest writers in history. He was an anarchist who was a pacifist Christian, And when you learn from his writings, he was inspired by the abolitionists. And what he wrote was that he actually had a text very similar to mine, talking about how government has always been slavery and will always be, and that the games that they play and the parades and the banners and the symbols that they use all manipulate your psychology into believing that they are your God. And now with technology and AI on the rise, it's very easy for somebody to be convinced that some other individual may be the God over their own life, or that AI is God over their own life in general. AI is going to be used as a form of control, and everybody knows it, which is why, in a sense, they fear it. But let's not come from a position of fear. Let's come from a position of faith and courage with what we know. And what do we know? We know nature. That disconnect between nature and the illusory, the fake, the AI, that's where we have to be careful. Are we not knowing what's real anymore? And so, what we have to do is kind of realize our nature. And the first thing to me that is required to know thyself is to realize we're free. So when we realize we're free and that nature or God is our true authority, then everything else breaks over, right? We understand that no matter what comes to us, we always have something beyond. So this screen, this interface you're looking through right now, this is not real. We know that. But there may come a time where people don't see that that's illusory. So it's the same thing with the governments and the systems we create. Many people accept that as reality. They accept that as unquestionable. They are born into that system. They're naturalized, we call them. It's funny we use that word. They basically are programmed into that reality. That becomes their nature. And they don't see a way out of it because they don't see nature or God or the truth beyond it. But the truth doesn't have a government. Nature doesn't have an ideology, which is why people are always fighting over, oh, I'm right. No one's ever going to have a claim on truth because truth by definition cannot be man-made. It's not humans. It's beyond us, right? So that's the message that I'm sharing, and that's the heart of voluntarism. Live your own life, let other people live out their own life. And then permaculture is recognizing we can grow food working with nature. Instead of monocropping and destroying the soil and growing one crop and just taking over all the farmland and having a total disregard for the environment, we're working with nature. It's the same way, actually. If you look at gardening, politics, health, it's all the same principles of a way a holistic practitioner would treat your body. They would look at the whole, they would try to get to the root cause, and they would respect you for who you are, listen to you, and not tell you what to do with your own body. They wouldn't just give you a drug and say, take this drug and you'll be good, right? Because they know that drug's going to cause more problems and then you're going to be treating symptoms all day. That's where we are. We create more laws and more laws and more laws. We create more drugs and more drugs and more drugs, but we never get to the root cause. And so that root cause is not even having to talk about health, not even having to talk about freedom, because we're already healthy and we're already free. That's the point we need to get to, where we're one with nature. We're one with the freedom or what we desire. So we don't even have to talk about it. Us talking about it is a sign that we don't have it. Right. So that is the process of mastery. self sovereignty, of mastery over ourselves. Sovereignty means above ruler, right? So you're no longer a subject to somebody else. And it's funny, the kings and queens call themselves sovereigns. So you're basically a monarch of yourself, one ruler over yourself, monarchon, just as anarchon and anarchy means no rulers. Okay, so it doesn't mean no rules. You need rules to be free, but rules for yourself. That's it. And people are always going to have rules for businesses, for organizations. That's all voluntary. The problem is when they say, oh, you have to believe me, my authority, because I say so, because I have the right to rule. I have the right to do violence when no one else has the right to do violence. That right there is the right to rule, which never existed. It just was made up by man. And it
Right.
started with religion, where people said, oh, well, God gave me the right to rule over you. So they used the truth for the lie, right? If you mix truth with lies, it makes the lies more dangerous. That's
Absolutely.
what cult leaders do. That's how they work.
Woo, what a segue. Well, you tied that up in a nice little bow.
Yeah,
Good
you
job
got it.
with that. Wow. Okay. Do you have any events that you're going to speak at or upcoming, or what's that looking like for you?
Every fourth Friday, I do an event here in Tarpon Springs, Florida. So feel free, anybody who's in Florida, or if you know anybody down here, definitely send them my way. We have a whole Telegram for everyone in Florida, and we're building bartering hubs all throughout the state and all sorts of amazing things that are happening due to permaculture. It's just inspiring people and it's opening up their minds. And then, it's kind of like it's a give and get scenario. The people in voluntarism are getting into permaculture. People in permaculture are getting into voluntarism, and we're just engaging with the solution every day. We don't have to beg in faith. We're not worshiping cult figures. We're just engaging in it, and over time, they're just irresistible. Like the amount of voluntarists today versus a couple years ago, it went up like thousands of percent exponentially. Just look at the event Anarchapulco in Mexico, and see how many more anarchists, quote unquote, are so becoming now that these ideas are becoming more popular and people are realizing politics is not the solution. And that's why people are following people like Anna von Reitz in the assemblies, because people realize politics is not the solution. So they're finding other methods, not that those methods are the methods to actually help us attain freedom. Because, of course, in my view, paperwork and the material things are not really going to help us free ourselves from a spiritual, mental, moral war. Right, that right there is so much more complicated, which is why it's harder for people to grasp, and it's harder to turn that into a cult.
Right. And you mentioned Narcopulco, which is Jeff Berwick, right?
And I know he has some problems, right? But again, there's different communities and different groups. I'm just saying that's an example of how much these ideas are growing. Just any of these guys, whether you like them or don't like them, Alex Jones or any of them, they're growing in popularity because people are looking for solutions. But that can be kind of dangerous because some people are desperate, right? So when things go down, people are going to be looking up to the state to perhaps provide for them, or they can go and create some voluntary alternative solutions and show by example, and they'll be like a beacon of light to the whole rest of the world, because people will be like, man, I'm really desperate, I'm looking for solutions, and the world is falling apart, I need to do something. So that right there is like the moment where you can totally help people.
So you said you're from Tarpon Springs. What part of Florida is that in?
West Central Florida. It's a Greek town. Very cool. It's just one of the places where I do my events. But that whole area, the West Central coast, that's like my hub. I'm trying to find
Okay.
land around there. It's very difficult. It's the fastest growing area, perhaps in the whole nation, Tampa. So it's getting pretty busy. But that to me is a better opportunity to reach more people. And if you look at a place like USF, that college campus is like a city. So I'm guaranteed to find somebody who cares about the truth or freedom. I believe, just by walking about and sharing ideas and asking questions, I think I'll find somebody. I went there one time and I already made some friends. Like, it won't be hard for me because I like to just connect with people.
Right.
for who they are without an agenda. Again, and then naturally my ideas spread to them, just like my parents did, and I did with them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to connect you with some people. Of course, I had all this stuff pop up over the
Yeah.
weekend and this week that's really kind of got me down. I have a bunch of phone calls and texts and emails and telegrams to deal with as soon as I get off the air today regarding the whole Sam Anderson thing. That's a whole nother ball game. But yeah, I'll definitely hook you up with Doug over in Florida, and I've got some other people. Now, let me ask you this, because you mentioned politics a lot when you're talking about, what you're trying to do, what avenue you went from health to politics, but you're not talking about politics per se as far as Democrat, Republican.
Mhm.
You're talking politics in general, more of a geopolitical aspect view of it, correct?
Yeah, the word politics comes from polis, which just means city, so it doesn't have to mean political action. When I'm against politics, I'm saying I'm against voting, I'm against different forms of government, including republics and democracies and all these different forms we create. And I'm simply standing for human freedom, for self ownership, for sovereignty. And I hope for more people to kind of grasp just that idea, rather than falling onto another cult. Because I would have to say, the government itself, that is a religion. It's the biggest one of all, and people follow it, and they will believe in it, and that's why they keep falling and rising again in history. Because people believe they need someone else to rule over their own life, and as long as they believe that, they're always going to be a slave. Is they're always going to have tyranny, and actually those limited governments, those republics, are going to become even worse than the most tyrannical governments in history, because people believe they're free and they believe they have a voice. So it makes it more dangerous, because now they're mixing again truth with lies.
Absolutely. And I'll give you the best example that I can give to anybody. When you're in prison, okay, you're a prisoner in prison, and you're talking about the outside world. They call that the free world. Yeah, man, free world. Going home next week. Gonna be out there in that world. Gotta get ready for the world. That's what they talk about. So as we know out here, there ain't nothing free. You got to struggle to survive, or you're going to be homeless and penniless and jobless and carless, all of that. But yet you go into prison, and if you're indigent, everything's free: free housing, free rooms, free meals, free medical, free education, free rehab. Everything's free.
Security.
So, yeah, so it's the opposite. And there's actually, and I know this is going to sound so crazy to hear, there's actually people, okay, that they go out on the streets, they get caught up doing their little thing. They only commit state jail felonies. They don't commit third or second or first degree felonies or capital crimes. So that way they know the maximum term they're going to get is 2 years. So they completely recycle through the system. One guy on the unit, when I was there for 12 years, he came there 3 times with 3 different sentences, all of them 2 years or under for state jail felonies. And he would come in the system, rehabilitate, because he was so strung out from the streets and beat up because he couldn't make it. So he had to go commit these crimes. Then he would come into prison, build his constitution back up. He would, start eating well. And then, of course, everybody's sending you money, and, you're just living like a king at everybody else's expense. And then you got to go back out there on those streets and struggle again. And that's really a thing. And it's abhorrent that somebody would want to live life like that. I just don't get it or understand it. But it is a thing, and that is reality. So let me ask you this question, because basically what you're talking about is taking the control, and I'll just use a city for an example, just a small little rural city that you might have there in Florida. What that looks like when you take the corporation out of the city government and put it in as a sovereign city run by sovereigns who are governing themselves. So how does that interchange or merger? What does that look like in your eyes, and how are you going to effectuate that type of movement into something that's pre-existing, that of course we already know power rarely cedes power?
Yeah.
How does that look? How are we going to go about doing that in your eyes?
It's a good question. That transitional process is core, right? If we don't know how we go from point A to point B, then everything I'm saying is just theory and impractical. So I want to get very practical. In fact, I would say what I'm sharing is so practical, which is why it can get misunderstood. When you're saying that anarchy, or living with you being the ruler of yourself, is reality, then it's about breaking the barriers and the illusions that's keeping you away from reality. So a lot of the terminology you just used right there wouldn't necessarily even need to be used, because people would understand that freedom would just be so part of life that, again, it would not really need to be a topic of conversation. We talk about it because, in light of tyranny, because of the unnatural world, we create this term called natural in opposition to it, right? And the same thing goes for anything else. All the evil makes us constantly like moral warriors, and makes more people religious, and makes them flock to their religions to say, we got to escape that evil that we have. So sometimes we're kind of going from one polarity to the next, and we're just reacting. Well, I'm not going from the polarity of, oh, here we have government, so now we got to go to no government. I'm saying that it's simply our reality. And so it's beyond the polarities. There is no balance of something that should not exist in the first place, something that should not be used. And if I'm saying that government is by its nature an illusion because it's a belief system, statism, then it's merely a matter of educating people on that belief system. And the abolitionists called this moral suasion. They had a term for it. And that term they saw was going to change the world. They knew that they could not end slavery by simply writing it on a piece of paper and saying slavery is wrong. They knew that they had to convince hearts and minds that slavery was wrong, and then it would be wrong, and that they needed to educate slaves and help equip them and arm them and so forth, right? So we need to do the same thing. It's recognizing there can't be a political solution, just as William Lloyd Garrison, Adin Ballou, and all these guys understood, the abolitionists, and that the true change relies in the masses and our minds. So education, how many people are willing to be educators, philosophers, psychologists, help that inspire the culture, the new generation, the social fabric, right? That's, again, my involvement in the coming years, and I encourage anybody else to do the same with me. Is like, how can we inspire people? Look at the depression rates, look at the anxiety rates, look at the mental health epidemic. If you want to change the world, let's change the individuals. Let's find out why they don't feel right, why their whole life feels upside down. And if somebody's unhealthy, if they don't own themselves, I mean, they're going to be more easily susceptible to slavery. Just look up again, what makes somebody a slave? What sign of somebody being a slave? Few possessions, lack of health, unable to read and write, unable to know, what they own, whatever. It's the same concept that we're dealing with now in the general public, where people don't own their own money because it's taken by them through taxation, which is violence, because if you don't pay, it's duress. You're going to be threatened with violence. And because that money is being taken from you continually and guaranteed, it's much worse than somebody just taking your money like a robber, because people are morally legitimizing it. They believe the government has the right to take your money. That's what authority does. That's what statism is. It's that exception in morality. It's that belief that it's okay because government did it. It's okay because authority did it. And because they said that we should do it, and that I should suppress my conscience and not think for myself. So when you tell people that they should always never suppress their conscience, that they should always think for themselves, and and always do what is right in their own worldview. Most people know what's generally right as opposed to wrong. Then why are we giving these few people, who we often call psychopaths, power over the rest of the masses who generally know what's right? It doesn't make much sense. Why are we giving them so much power? We're literally furnishing the seat for psychopaths to gain power, because they're the only ones who want power. You ask the average person, it's like, yeah, I don't want to be a governor. I don't want to be in charge. Because people are too humble. Generally, people are too trusting too, and that's why we're in this mess. The most evil is committed by good, ordinary people who simply believe in the authority of somebody else over their own life. It's good people who create the most evil in this world because they believe in those evil people. They give them an excuse to do evil. And different writers in history have had different ways of describing this. Hannah Arendt said it was the banality of evil. That's what she called it. But again, it's statism. Carl Jung called it state slavery. He called it state doctrine. And there's many other ways to look at it. Antinomianism is another philosophy in the 1850s. But anyways, you get the point. So it's a movement inspiring people with new ideas. And permaculture is very inspiring because let's say you have one town of people who say, we're not going to grow lawns. Lawns, they pollute the environment more than anything. We have more acreage in lawns than any other crop in the entire world, like combined. And it provides no yield. We put so much work and money into it. So why are we growing these artificial lawns? Well, instead, if you have one town that grows their own food, now they're all self-sufficient. They're connected with their community. They're restoring the environment. They're healthy. So you have that combined with this mental, moral, spiritual awakening. And what do you have? You have the perfect storm to end this mess that we are in. To me, that's why these are the main two solutions. And how do we bring that? Again, let's be educators that show by example. So I have a food forest in my backyard in Florida. The permaculture movement is becoming huge. They're doing permaculture convergences. Jim Gale, we're starting to do events in Galt's Landing on his 50 acres in St. Cloud. It's growing, but it's just starting out. The network is being built right now as we speak. So that to me is a huge potential for freedom, physically and mentally, getting both, right? And without any reliance on those external systems, and doing it ourselves voluntarily without violence. When we show by example and we show people a better model, then the old model becomes obsolete. That's what Buckminster Fuller said, known inventor in the world. That's like his famous quote. Everybody uses that quote. If you want to build a new model, make the old one obsolete. So that's what we're doing. And then it will become irresistible because of that. You can't convince somebody again that they're a slave or convince somebody that they need to be free. It has to be done through questions, strategy, or essentially action, showing by example. That is the best way we can do it. So let's do events. Let's organize. I have a video for your audience out there, over 30 strategies and websites and groups to network with. So you can find people in your area. I came down to Florida not even a year ago. I'm already doing events out the door. That's just the beginning, right? So there's so much more potential. And if we had everybody doing this everywhere, it'd be over. Independent media already has millions of people who follow them. That all it takes is not even 1 to 3% of the population to create a big change in history in just one nation. And Mahatma Gandhi flooded the jails with his movement because he was willing to go to jail. He was willing to take a sacrifice, for his movement, for his ideas. And because of that, he won without using any violence, using non-violent resistance strategies, which are known by many professors as like the best strategy in history to create change.
Right.
So let's learn from Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. Let's learn from those strategies, and then let's integrate the modern solutions and alternative ideas, and let's show by example. And maybe if you want, I create a movement called NITA.1. A movement can help amplify the message. So that is something I created for that reason. If we all had one unified message, we'd be much more influential in independent media. So that's one strategy as well. I've experimented and I've looked at different strategies, but Jim Gale right now, what he's doing is getting involved with jails. So he got in touch with the biggest jail in the country, which has like over 650,000 inmates. And he wants to bring education to them and, food forest. And that's huge. And then if we get this
jail with 650,000 inmates,
yeah, something like that. It's crazy. But I don't know what's all the statistics with that, but I think that's what he told me. But I do know that his strategy is he goes from jails to schools to churches, right? And if you can reach these three major hubs in society, you change the world.
institutions.
Yeah, right. So because the churches are kind of supporting the state right now, And so are the schools, right? And these are some of like the main institutions that do it, because when you're in school, you're taught to be obedient to authority. When you're in churches, you never question the authority of governments, but you say that you worship God. So it's like the government just gets a free pass. And it's, if anything, gets legitimized, because we say, oh, we need to bring God into the politics, and we need to bring, what our parents and what the schools taught us into politics, and everything's about politics. That if we want to change the world, politics. We don't think, oh, we have to actually educate people and inspire them and enlighten them and increase the consciousness and create a whole new enlightenment. There's a whole reason why the 1700s was called the Enlightenment era. It's all about knowledge and sharing ideas and the printing press and books. When the abolitionists started, they had their own printing press, which made their message infinitely more powerful.
Yeah.
So we have to use technology as a tool for freedom, because that's what technology will do for us more now than ever before, which is why voluntarism and these ideas I'm sharing have such huge potential now, unlike any other time in history. Because people like Plato and Aristotle didn't have printing presses to just like distribute their material en masse. If their knowledge got out to more people, it could have done even more. But most of the world is still, even unfamiliar with these ideas of natural law and freedom. Like, America is in the perfect position to free itself and be a truly free country, because we have the foundational principles already there, of, oh, we're all equal. We have this idea of freedom and rights, but there's still other countries that are still stuck in a monarchy. And we would look at them and we'd be like, that's crazy. That's insane. They still believe in kings and queens because that's how crazy it is.
Have you watched Tucker Carlson's interview with Mike Benz?
No, I haven't.
Go watch that. When you hear the enormity of what our government is doing in these other countries, especially through Telegram and these other social media platforms, how much expenditure that they are doing to tailor the narrative in those countries for the hegemony of the United States government, not for the benefit of those people or that country. It's all for the benefit of the U.S. corporation. It's a very eye-opening, revealing interview that Mike Benz shares. And when you hear that, and then you compound that with some of my own investigations of definitely illegal immigration, where, we're spending billions of taxpayer dollars to support these NGOs to funnel these illegal immigrants into the United States, fully clothed, healthy, with all free medical and dental and everything else they need, cell phones, debit cards, places to live, free flights, no TSA. This is an insane world. It's an insane country. It's not sustainable. We're spending about 90 trillion, or I'm sorry, 100 trillion, or I'm sorry, we're spending 1 trillion about every 90 days in the United States. So every 3 months, we're going through another $1 trillion. And this is static. You can go look it up on usaspending.gov. This is kind of why I go back, because what you're trying to do is go back to the organic, and I use that as a general broad term, back to rural America, where we had the family farm. We weren't driven into the slavery mode of the corporate city life because we had to go get an industry.
Yeah.
If you look at the birth rates in the United States, and I was looking at this yesterday because I always get updates. Oh, you've got new relatives on 23andMe. Because of my great-grandfather, or my great-great-grandfather, great-grandfather, and grandfather all having large families, what originated with Floyd Sr., I think he was one of 12 or 13, and they had big families like that to run the farm. My family owned a dairy down in the valley near Laredo called Rita's Dairy. Borden Dairy, Borden Milk, bought out our family farm. That's what it looked like. Okay. It used to be rural, family owned, operated with, back to nature. And then the corporation came in, gobbled it up, and turned all those employees that were family members working on the farm into capitalist industrials. So, what did they do? They capitalized. And you can break that word down.
Well, I'm I'm not a I'm not against capitalism as much as, let's say, materialism or consumerism, right? I think these have to be differentiated. Capital just means money. People working for what they create and creating value is an amazing thing. That's how we do anything. That's how we have computers. That's how we have all the stuff that we have. I know that when I go to the universities and colleges, there might be a common sentiment that just because you're a billionaire and just because you're a successful businessman, you might be evil because capitalism. I'm not following that line of thinking. And I want to make it clear that as well, when it comes to borders, again, I was very pro Trump in 2016. So I had a very pro borders position. People may not understand my position now because I don't disagree with the idea of, you know, with what you said. Like, I don't disagree with anything about what you said, like with the borders and how we're like giving people free stuff. Because the question is, how do they get that stuff? It's by our stolen dollars. It's by us being coerced. So I'm against the violence part of it. And that right there, if you look at that, then yeah, I'm pro open border, but not really. You see what I mean? It's like the same thing with abortions. It's like I'm against abortion, but I'm not about the state telling people what to do with their own life. So I'm not pro life or pro choice. I'm simply pro freedom. And if people
Right.
can't come to that realization, then they're going to get stuck in these dichotomies of open border, closed border, and then they're going to be fighting people all day, which they are. And
Right.
I don't want to treat people as if they're lesser or greater because that's how we kind of got into this mess. And so I don't look at people like illegal immigrants and so forth, but I understand the sympathy because I agree. We should not be giving people something that they didn't work for themselves or create with their own time and energy, unless it's voluntarily given to them because we care about them and people want to share it with them for whatever reason. There's many different charities and organizations that will do that. Why do we need the government to steal everybody's money, take everything through violence to give to other people? I mean, this is crazy. So it's the violence part of it that I look at. It's the morality part of it that I focus in on. And so when it comes to money, it's the same thing. Is somebody exploiting somebody else? um this word exploitation, like, what does that mean? And people make all these different ideas like communism and Marxism and all these ideas, socialism, because the capitalist is evil, so let's make a government out of that, and now let's take the money from the rich. It's like, no, because again, there's violence involved with that. Anytime you start adding violence to the equation, you're saying that you should rule over other people's lives and that their life doesn't belong with them. You're already losing the whole game. So this is what Bakunin, if you don't know who Mikhail Bakunin is, he was a friend of Karl Marx back in the 1850s. And he warned Marx, he's like, I like your ideas of like challenging billionaires and all these people with money, but you want to create state power to reduce state power. How is that going to work? So like Bakunin challenged Marx on his ideas and he predicted the rise of communism. And Bakunin was an anarchist in the sense that I'm kind of speaking about, in the sense of saying, like, let's end these systems by educating people. Marx was, on the other hand, saying, let's end the system by making the system strong and then giving everybody what they need to survive. And then the system will just dissolve on its own. Because if
Right.
everybody is equal and has like a shared stuff, then everything will just be, super nice. So, there was a lot of thoughts going around in like the late 1800s, early 1900s with communism and Marxism that led up to Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia and all that mass murder. But what made it dangerous is when you put it in the hands of the state, any ideology in the hands of the state. And what is the state? It's just a bunch of individuals like you and I who simply claim to have authority over other individuals. And that authority relies on the masses who believe in that authority. So if you read the book, The Most Dangerous Superstition by Larkin Rose, it's probably the best book you can read on the subject. It's really, it's going to go down in history, I would say, as one of the best philosophy books detailing this belief system. And if you ask anybody who's read it, they'll be like, wow, this thing is like powerful. And that's why he made that movie, The Jones Plantation, to kind of like share the book through another perspective. And he's going to make more movies. The guy is incredible. His animations are very eye-opening, and it's very basic. I guarantee you, any conservative who cares about freedom, who's not stuck in their cult of worshiping Trump right now, will be open to that information. Because I was a conservative, but more than that, I was a truth seeker. If I wasn't a truth seeker, I wouldn't have gotten out of that belief system. You know, I called myself a populist, constitutionalist, all those terms that people are now using today. And it's unfortunate because people are stuck in that and they cannot conceive of a possibility of anything else. It's left or right. And if it's not left and right, it's libertarian. That's even, to me, that's even worse. Because again, it's another flavor of playing the same game. And those people believe just as much as the left and right. Oh, if we get our people in, the system will get better. You know, it's the same deal. So yeah,
Right.
I'm against the whole, like, if you mean capital in the sense of people taking over everything, like Bill Gates. But the problem is, like, Amazon and Bill Gates, they're working with the governments to make what they want done. And if it wasn't for the violence that they use and the tax exemptions that they have and all that stuff, handouts, government handouts, they wouldn't be as big as they are, taking over mom and pop stores and like your family experience. It's unfortunate. Most of America, right, was like family farms, apparently, family businesses. It's unfortunate to see that went away. But that's because the free market has been messed with. It's not free. You know, people think we live in a capitalist, like, free world. We don't. We don't live in a capitalist world in a free sense. We live in a capitalist world in a slave sense, which is not, you know, real money in the sense of like, oh, here's an apple, here's an orange. It's like, no, the government has to come and say, you can't give an apple to this person unless you have this, you know, receipt or this permit. It's like, come on. It's like, you can't drink raw milk. You can't grow a certain plant because it's illegal in certain states. And it's like, really? We're going to make nature illegal? That just shows right there the pinnacle of what they're going to do, of what they are.
Right. Wow. Thought I was sharing the
There you go.
screen.
You guys shared that book. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely, I recommend that one for sure. And people, again, don't have to agree with me. That's the amazing part about voluntarism. You don't have to agree with me about anything. You believe what you want, just don't impose it on me using violence. You're never going to get everybody to agree on the same thing, ever.
Right.
It's just how health works. It's how law works. It's how everything works. Even gardening is people who are like, this is the best way to grow something. No, this is the best way. You know, that's how people are. But that's what makes it beautiful. If we didn't have differences and uniqueness, we wouldn't be human. We wouldn't be ourselves.
Absolutely. So, where are you going forward now?
Well, I have to work on these projects like all day and all night, like reading and writing thousands of words. And so right now I'm kind of living like a academic. So it's a little, I'll have to go back to my Zen Dao eventually because I'm just doing intensive like research on work that, you know, I would hope scholars or psychologists would do, but unfortunately I have to do. But it's not like it's an inspiring thing. It's a very empowering, but it's like, it's very tiresome. You know, I do work all day, all night sometimes. And so like I messaged you last night, at like 4 a.m. So that's my living stance at the moment. And I'm fortunate to be able to do so, you know, being the fact I live with my parents, don't have many expenses of my own, so I can focus on this work. And then eventually, as I get land and I can do more with other people, I want that to prepare my future and help other people's future as well. And that would, I think, be a whole family project. My whole family would probably do that together. But yeah.
Are you writing a book currently?
Yes. Yeah, no spoilers.
No spoilers. Okay. You would probably like talking to my daughter. She's something else. Even if she wasn't my daughter, she's a remarkable young woman. She's already got her master's in
You set me up.
anthropological. She's
Don't
already got
set
her
me up here.
master's in her anthropological pharmacology. She's getting her PhD in psychology at SMU. Currently works part-time for Tommy Chong and Cheech Marin, selling their franchises across the United States. Very into alternative medications far as treatment for different ailments. So she's on the forefront of that. She's going to be somebody, even if she wasn't my daughter. So I'm very proud of her. Extremely intelligent, very, very, very smart. One of those college students that didn't go on spring break. They went to the library and checked out a bunch of books for spring break. And when she told me that, I was like, what? Are you sure you're my daughter? Because, me, I'm down at South Padre Island partying up with Tommy Morrison when he won the World Heavyweight Championship, and he just came out in Rocky. And oh yeah, boy, that's a whole nother story. So that's what I did on my spring break vacations, even though I wasn't in school. But yeah, that's how my daughter rolls. She's a superstar, and I'd love to get her on the show to come talk about things.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you two would gel, just because she is such on a high intellectual level.
I would let her take the floor. Just be like,
yeah, she gets hard to talk to on some topics. She's like yourself, very, 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 very knowledgeable for her age on different topics. She knows all about gemology or geology, because they sell rocks and stuff like that. She does tarot readings. I mean, yeah, she's remarkable young woman. Very, very proud of her.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
I'm always willing to connect with anybody, no matter who it is, and I think I can get along with whoever. And if anything I ever say triggers somebody, I'd always be like, well, what's up? What I do? Because like I have good intentions, and I might say something that triggers somebody, but it's not my intent, right, to do that.
Yeah.
I come in here because I truly believe what I'm saying, and I don't want anybody to think wrongly of anything I'm saying. I don't want them to think that I'm just rebelling against the system because I want to, because again, like that's the anarchist stigma. It's like you want chaos, but that's not, of course, what I'm sharing. I'm sharing a lot of psychological, moral work, which is not easy to understand. So if it'd be much easier to share that position. It'd be much easier to be political. But it's much harder to be a truth seeker and to try to get down to the fundamentals. And so, yeah, I respect anybody who believes what they believe, and if she like is hard headed on anything, that's awesome. I would applaud her. I'd be like, that's great, and I would because that's how you work with somebody like that. It's like you find out what they like, what they're interested in, and what they think they know about. And people think they know. That's often the issue in this world, is like they think they know. I don't want to claim that I know really anything. I say that as the first quote in my philosophy book, is to know you know nothing. But frankly, we do have to have some guiding principles in our life. And I guarantee you, she probably agrees violence is wrong. So if she agrees with that, then we're already we're already on the same wavelength when it comes to what I'm saying. It's more so just than following through with that. I'd have to pick up contradictions or whatever in people's heads, which is everyone. Everyone's got some sort of thing to work on in themselves. Nobody's perfect, right?
Right. Absolutely. Nobody's perfect, as we strive to be, but we can't quite meet the task. All right. Anything else you want to cover before we go?
No, that's it. I would say stay tuned. Anybody who's out there, theliberator.us is my website. You see it on the screen. That one is the main one that I run. It's like a news website. People are welcome to get involved. I have a showcase event where you send me a 1 minute clip, and you'll be featured. I'll do a whole show out of it. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's like one way to collaborate. I have another way is if you write articles, if you're a writer, you can contribute, and I'll make it into a video for you potentially. Because I want to share your word. I can help you with content creation. Anybody out there who's trying to get into content creation, if you need help, feel free to email me, message me, feel free. Cause I'm just trying to help out other people so they can do, again, this work. I don't want to be the only one doing this.
Yeah,
We want everybody to share what they believe to be the truth and freedom.
that's why you're here.
Yeah.
That's why you're here today. Yep. So, wow. When would you like to come back on?
I don't know. What does Buffy have to say?
Well, I already know what she's.
I want to do content creation with you. You've blown my mind. I think you've blown everybody's mind. We need to continue networking and keep talking and educating people, because there's so much truth in everything you say, and it's felt deeply because that's part of your truth and who you are, and you're so passionate about it. And crying earlier was very inspirational, because to see truth in such a young, strong voice is phenomenal to me. It gives me hope. I'm 48 years old, and I'm like, oh, and I worry because my daughter's, oh, I didn't mean to make you cry.
No.
I'm thinking this dude he's
I have a bright
got
light in
it.
front of me too,
You've
but
got
that
it
doesn't help.
right. Keep doing it. You have my full support. Anything I can do to help you, network, content creation. I've got a lot of other people that are really great. I'd love to introduce you to.
Awesome.
And this is amazing. Thank you, Floyd,
Yeah.
for having him. Thank you
thank
for
you.
letting me talk to him, Floyd. Floyd's the bomb. Floyd's like, hey, Floyd is just amazing, because he's given me a chance where people wouldn't give me a chance. He's listened to me, he's helped me, and he's supported me too. So I mean, Floyd's just a great man, and I dare anybody to put a comment that he's not, because I'm telling you right now he is. All right.
Yeah.
I'll be backstage, y'all.
All right. Thank you, Buffy.
She's cool.
Yeah, I know that's tough. It's hard standing up on that pedestal when people put us up there, because that's not what Cory and myself, that's not what we're looking for. I've been the limelight, and it's something I embraced at the time, and it's something that I'm really not fond of returning to.
Yeah.
I kind of like my anonymity.
I'm crying just because I have a bright light in front of me. It's raining, and I'm a bit tired. So
I'm
don't
not
put that on me.
worshiping you all. I'm just saying that, take this energy and use it to fuel the purpose, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, I know you're human. We're all human. And I mean, Floyd's not always said something I wanted to hear to my face, but I heard it. So, I mean, and I don't put him, I'm not, but I will give props and I will give empowerment. I'm a good cheerleader.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, well, if you guys ever have anything to critique of me, you're always welcome. And I could always take criticism from you too, Floyd. Like I said, I like the fact that you're critiquing these communities, and I've wanted to see that. So I want to say thank you to you and publicly to everybody that you're kind of critical of Anna von Reitz and these other figures, because I felt like that needed to happen for a while. I did a video, like an hour long video 2 years ago on how she's wrong on the subject of natural law. She just like generalizes so much on that subject. I was just like amazed, because there's a lot of writers in history talking about that subject, and she just thinks it's like this survival of the fittest, like law of the jungle type of thing. I'm like, what about the fact that it's in our Declaration of Independence? It says laws of nature. And what about the fact, like, our founding fathers did not refer to that as the survival of the fittest? So I found that really strange. And then she talked about deism as well. Deism was an Enlightenment philosophy in the 1700s. And she calls that, like, she equates deism with Freemasonry and Satanism. I guess it's because she's a Catholic, right? Or she's like a Christian. And some of the deist texts were like against Christianity, but they were, again, founding fathers like Thomas Paine and Thomas Jefferson. Elihu Palmer, who was a friend of Jefferson. Like a lot of the deists were very pro-freedom, and yeah, they were challenging the churches. They were saying basically that you don't need the churches or middlemen between you and God. And so it was a very controversial position. It ended up some of them in jail because of it. So I'm surprised that she would view that as something negative. And I was just critical because she didn't have any sources. Like when you look at her material, it's like, where's the source? And it's why I appreciate so many other people's work, is some people actually provide the sources. Like I have somebody in my community who would love your work, by the way. And I'll have to share his channel with you when I have the chance. But like he provides every source that you can find, and he's really good at making his videos. It's really like good, I would say, for my generation. Like really high energy, like all this stuff. He's using video games contracts, like the contracts you sign in video games, as proof to share like what you're signing up for. Really cool stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'll share that with you too.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds pretty interesting. Something that I've never heard of for sure.
Yeah, he's on his A game though. Everything has a source, and it's like if you're gonna get into the law world, like when I first came across like Anna's work, it's like I don't understand what she's saying because she didn't have any sources. It's like, oh, this. You kind of just take her word on everything she says, and people do. It's like people watch it and they take her word on it. It's like, where's your source? Now, for me, it's like I was talking about philosophy, psychology. I just want you to understand me like normally. I don't have to provide a source for that type of stuff necessarily. I could provide evidence, as in like historical examples and the nature of the mind, or maybe certain studies that were done. But for hers, it's like she has to cite certain legal codes, and if she's not doing that, it's like it gets really confusing. Because if you throw one thing in there that's not true, that could be dangerous.
It's pervasive across that whole category. Where they cite stuff and they don't give you the correct citing, the full citing, or they've taken it out of context to apply to their narrative or whatever they're thinking. They did that in prison when these guys would come, hey, Floyd, can you look at my case? And, of course, they want to, hear all the good things. And, of course, you got to break their heart. And, but if you want somebody to blow smoke up your ass, that guy will take all your money and tell you everything you want to hear. I promise you, you're going to get out next week.
It's crazy because once they start asking for money, it's like, whoa, like it's one thing to be sharing ideas, but then another to be like, okay, now give me money, and then I'll give you money back. Like let's create a banking system. Like it's like that right there is the foundation to cults. It's like if you give to me, I'll give to you, and it's whoa. And then if you don't like that, then you're part of the enemy. Because I saw that article she did on you. I was just like, whoa, attacking you. What's up with that? Crazy. So
actually, you saw that Monday night webinar, huh?
Yeah, I saw some of that. Well, I saw her article too that she wrote on you, but
I missed those.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm getting attacked every day by the vegans in this community that I'm in, like the Mark Passio community. A lot of them, since they're very staunch, like natural law, morality, talking about human rights, they apply some of it to animals. So some of them are like staunch vegans. And so when I'm not promoting veganism, they get super mad. But like, I agree with their sentiments. Like I care about animals. So it's like, what are they trying to attack me for? Right. So that's what I have to deal with.
Without weapons, we would be the food. We would not be the apex predator on the planet.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's diet's a complicated topic, but I'm against every diet. You know me. I'm integrative nutrition. I want to look at what works for each individual. I've talked to way too many practitioners to think, oh, this is the best way and no other way is the best, because that's what these people have the mentality with. And frankly, because they have that mentality, it tells me they never really worked with any people, like real people. They never actually got out there and had any clients or patients or spoke with practitioners, because if they did, they would not hold those opinions. They get so stuck because there's influencers, just like those cult leaders, and they're the ones promoting the diets, the influencers online, because it's trendy and it makes money. But all the practitioners who actually have patients and clients, they're not promoting one thing because they have to learn from the individual. It would be silly for them to do that.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to get the effect that they're looking for for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. I'm ready to roll. You got me excited for sure, and jealous. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to
let's
go.
do it. And if you come across
Right.
more people my age, bring them my way. Let's inspire the generation. Let's do it. I really do plan on inspiring them, and let's empower them. Let's give them the tools so that way depression, anxiety, all those things become of the past, right? And they believe in themselves and they see their own self-value. That right there will be the key, the gateway to everything else. Because when they see that they are not worthless and that somebody has done it before, like they take away all those superstitions and identities. I have to be this somebody. I have to look good on Instagram, or this person looks better than me. When they take away all that's in their minds, because I know it is in this generation, they will become infinitely more free, and they'll start thinking more for themselves. And everything will start opening up. I mean, that's the way I look at it. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but that's what I've kind of deduced it down to.
Right. Are you familiar with Louis Herbs?
No, I'm not.
This is his tour that he has going on across the country right now. ScrewBigDove.com. So go check this out. On the 6th, right here, they'll be in Plano, Texas. This is my friend's gallery that they'll be at. So obviously they're talking to him. He's going to be in Jacksonville next Tuesday. So I don't know if you have the ability to attend that event, but I can get you hooked in to where you can attend that event, possibly meet him, introduce yourself, and possibly get a speaking slot.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. That's super cool of you. I thank you for that. I really do. I don't know. I'd have to check, and that seems kind of soon, but I definitely want to connect with those people either way. Like, I like to connect with everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
you're going to go meet a bunch of like-minded people,
yeah.
and I'm sure they would be tickled pink to hear somebody of your age with your wisdom, your knowledge, your research, and your mission statement. I think you have a lot to say, a lot to offer. When you talk to your parents, you tell them I said thank you.
Okay.
I said thank you too.
Cool. My friend St. John is in the chat. He goes by, this is his name, St. John Penule Chidester III. It's like the hardest name in the world. John, can't you have a nickname one day? Like, goodness, man. Yeah, he goes by St. John. I guess that's his nickname. But he's a good friend of mine. I think he's in Pennsylvania still. Are you still in Pennsylvania, John? He used to do some events down here in Florida with me. I miss him. But yeah.
Okay.
I have a lot of cool
see.
people in my community too. He's still in Pennsylvania. Cool. Chilling with Mark Passio. Is that what you're doing?
So I see you have some fans as well.
Well, just a lot of cool people I've met along the way. Frankly, I like the fact I'm not too big of a creator. I like the fact that I know the people that are. I mean, all the censorship, it kind of stinks because we would probably be way bigger than we are as content creators. Like I've done so much work on documentaries and so forth, but the more work I do, I realize it's not like that worth it. So, unfortunately,
yeah.
But I still do what needs to be produced, and frankly, that's the main thing. As long as I'm doing what has to be done, that's it. And also, I have to make it a fun, enjoyable process along the way, and I plan to do that with the colleges, make it fun. I'll be back soon. I miss you too, bro. Yes, chilling with Mark. Cool. Thank you, John. You should meet Fearless Floyd sometime. Yeah, he's a content creator too. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm going to have you back for sure. I don't know if I can get you on next week. If you would love to just do a show on one of your books, or we can do a series on your books, or we can just do one show on permaculture, break that down, show everybody what it's like, give us a little tour of your own permaculture forest in your backyard.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, we've got to educate as many people as we can, as much as we can. Hopefully this video will get shared.
Yeah.
The entry hour, of course. Hopefully, we'll get a lot of traction for you and introduce you to a completely new audience.
I appreciate that. And yeah, I think after the release of these next projects, I absolutely would take you up on that. I'd want to share those projects with your audience. I think they'd be very powerful. So we can just start like sharing it around everywhere, trying to get it out there as much as possible because they're going to be very monumental, very big.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Yeah. And I do have other platforms out there that have, above 60,000 subscribers
Awesome.
that, we may be able to get some traction on as well. So, yeah, I look forward to doing a lot with you. Definitely your bright future. You're going to be a superstar, sir. So look forward to that. Stay humble.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when you tell me things like that, but yeah, just kidding. I won't let people get to me, and actually, if I do get to any point of influence, that's probably when I would step down and be like, "All right, passing the torch, your turn," because again, we got to inspire other people to do it. So, anyone
Yeah.
out there, you're welcome to get involved, and I appreciate your humbleness and welcoming me like that. I think that's awesome, super cool.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. I trust me. I have an eye for talent. I actually, most people don't know this, quiet as it's kept, but one of my ex-girlfriends, I met her when she just turned 16 years old, had my eye on her, and she had the opportunity to be the next guest girl in between Claudia Schiffer and Anna Nicole Smith. And of course, everybody knows where Anna Nicole's from, right? Houston, Texas. Where? Right down the street, Gigi's Cabaret. And then she went to Rick's Cabaret. And that's where she found her former husband, her late husband. And so, yeah, she had that opportunity. So I can see talent when I see it. And Cory, you're going places. So keep up the good work. Keep writing your books. Keep networking with folks. We're going to network you with more folks, and we're going to get you moving on. There's some things I don't know if I mentioned it to you that are progressing in the background that I may be able to get you a nationwide audience.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, very grateful to know people like you and whatever we can do to share the message of freedom and create it on earth. I'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. So let's do it.
And I will send a copy of this video to the person that will put it in somebody else's hands that will be able to make that decision. So, yeah,
beautiful.
I look forward to this. Man, thank you for being here, Cory. I'm just so humbled, honored, and grateful that you showed up and you are who you are with your platform and you have a genuine heart and soul. And I hope everybody can see that. And y'all go follow Cory. Main website is theliberator.us. And Cory, with all my guests, do you have anything you'd like to close with? And I'll give you the floor.
Well, thank you, Fearless Floyd. Definitely one of the better interviews I've ever done. I will tell you that just because of how open and welcoming you are. So you definitely are awesome for that. So up and away, Daryl. Thank you, Daryl. You got an international audience already, dude. It's what Katie said. You guys are super kind, but I feel like, we are just getting started here. And we do have work to do, but it will be a natural progression. If we open up the right doors, I think things will just start unfolding on their own. And I encourage everybody to open up those doors. Get involved in your local community, no matter where you are. Because I guarantee you, if you don't think that there's any truthers around you, which I hear often, there definitely is. And I'll talk to somebody the next day and they'll live in the same exact town as the person I spoke to the other day. And I'll be like, you guys don't know who each other are. You guys are both saying that there's nobody around you, but yet you both care about the same things. If you believe something, you are not the only person. You are definitely not alone, no matter what you've suffered in this life, whether it's a trauma or a certain mindset. And you should not push yourself down ever. Remember that, because it's very easy to do that, especially in this world that's going to try to push you down, whether you are a truther one way or another, if you care about other people, especially, you're going to find yourself in that position, which I find quite interesting. The fact that people who care the most are those who have to get vilified by society. And we don't need that to happen anymore. If you build a community of people who care about you, you'll find out that you'll have a lot more inspiration for what's going on, and you'll be way more optimistic about the future. So instead of being all doomsday and everything's going to end, you can believe in yourself because you'll have other people who also believe in you. And that's super important to have. If you want to create any change, create community and create like minds and get your neighborhood involved, give them cuttings, start growing food. If you're in an apartment, make a, whatever they call it, a green closet, just start throwing plants in the closet and start making that a whole garden. You can do anything if you set your mind to it. You live in the age of mass information. And I encourage everybody, check out, voluntarism, statism, permaculture, those ideas I mentioned. They will come of great use for freedom. I can guarantee you that. And in case you don't think that's the case, stay tuned because my future works will prove that to you, perhaps, through many different ways. And maybe you're not convinced of any of the things I'm saying, regarding government and anarchy. I would expect it to be quite controversial if you're new to those ideas. I certainly was pretty resistant to them at first. Well, I encourage you to have an open mind if you care about freedom to look into those ideas because they are very much different from the way the media and the news portrays them to be. Perhaps they do that on purpose. They do that with other things. Would you be surprised if they did it with this? So ask yourself that question. Ask yourself, do I own myself? What is self-ownership, right? And how far am I willing to go with that self-ownership? Do I recognize that in order to have freedom, in order to have self-ownership, I need to recognize that other people also have self-ownership, that they also should be free? Because if I want freedom for myself, like the golden rule, I have to apply it reciprocally. If I say I have the natural right to something, then someone else also has that right. So you're not the only one that has the right over your own life, liberty, and property, not just pursuit of happiness. Other people have that right too. So let's create that. Let's help them see that in themselves because people will push themselves down, especially in times of great grief. We need to be the ones to light up this world, to give people faith, love, and courage. And courage is acting on that love. So let's get together. Let's replace lawns with food forest. Let's educate people and show them that voting and political actions and paperwork is not the solution, but changing hearts and minds and getting together, setting up local projects, rebooting the economy, rebooting our health, doing what we need to do directly rather than begging, asking for permission, asking for money, waiting for the banks to arrive, these Anna von Reich's banks. No, we don't need that, right? We do need money, but we can do that together through the projects that we create and through our efforts. And at a certain point, when the collapse happens in society, which is a lot of people are expecting, that's not going to matter as much as keeping your own mind in check and keeping those you love around you and making sure that they care about you and the rest of the neighborhood. Because when people are off their depression medications, they're off their anxiety medications, and they don't have access to that anymore, or they don't have access to Netflix and social media, do you think the world might go a little crazy? Might just do that. So you want to be a little careful. But by careful, I mean also carefree. I want you to live life, have fun in those times. That might be a great time to get together with people, have some parties, have some fun, and express your freedom. And don't get trapped in the news and don't get trapped in the solutions the government is just going to be handing to you on a golden platter saying, here you go. So without further ado, I'll leave you guys on that note to take action and go to theliberator.us. I have an action page and a learn page. Start there and you'll get everything you need to know. Nonviolent resistance strategies, permaculture, voluntarism. Those are the top 3 solutions I got for you. The main problem, statism, which is also known as slavery. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Cory, for being here. Wow, what a closing. I think that's the best closing that I've ever had on the show. And I'll get with you after the show and definitely get you back on here. So there you go, everybody. Cory Endrulat, definitely an individual you're going to be looking for here in the future. Again, man, I'm very humbled and honored and blessed to have him on the show. As you see, he is just a wonder kid, and I hate to call him a kid because it's hard listening to him and understanding that he's only 24, because you listen to him without seeing him and you would think he's well over that. Jeff just called me. He has an update he wants to give to you guys live, and we're going to do that. But first, let me address what we were talking about, because I know over on Cory's channel, he should have kept it going, but that's cool. I know he has things to do. What I'm talking about, okay, is a real news channel with real news. Okay, not the fluff you're going to catch on mainstream media, not even the fluff you're going to catch over on the alternative media, but real news, like what's going on with Anna Von Reitz and her bank and the Michigan State Assembly and the California State Assembly, and what's going on over here in Florida or on the East Coast with all these journal assemblies that are setting up. What's the real news there? Why aren't these assemblies commingling and merging and acting as one? That kind of news. What's really going on behind the scenes? Who's trying to do what? Who's really telling you the truth? Who's full of crap? Real news about real things that affect your life every day. We don't know if we're going to be able to get that platform up and functioning. We're doing our best. I'm trying to do whatever I can to assist with that and facilitate it. I know other people are working on it as well. That's what we're talking about on an alternative platform. Somebody like Cory would be just a godsend to that type of platform, because he could reach out and speak to those his own age in a very intelligent, very crafted, careful narrative. And I welcome him. What a wonderful young man. I'm going to thank his parents again for producing such a quality individual who obviously has dedicated his own life. You know, he said he's been doing this for several years. He's already given it up for humanity. How many teenagers or 20-somethings do you know that are like that? Incredible young man. I'm just tickled pink to be able to, you know, I don't know if we're friends yet, but definitely an associate. But I look forward to having many more conversations, interacting with him, and definitely hooking up with more people over in Florida and on the East Coast so we can expand his word. Let me call Jeff real quick, because, listen, if you're here for the RV news, everything is way okay. Way okay. You're going to be very happy. So just take it at that. No, didn't want to do a video call. All right, we're calling Jeff.
I have a potential guest that can't come on. She's under NDA and can't talk. But
Oh, you're live. Hang on. Okay, go ahead. Now you're not.
she was referred to me by the CIA a long time ago. She used to work with a bunch of three letters, influence groups in that regard, good contacts.
Right.
And she's
we could still hear Floyd. I want to make sure that he is completely cool and kosher with everyone hearing what Jeff has to say. So I hope you all can understand and just hold tight with us. And if you want to chat with me, or if you all have any questions, just ask me. What'd you think about Cory? And would you want to see more Cory? I bet that's a silly question. You're very welcome, Cory. Look, Cory's in the chat. Yeah. Hey, so Floyd got a call about from Jeff, an update, and I could still hear. So that means everybody could still hear. So I moved him out and put him on mute, and he'll be back soon. All right, Floyd, are you off the phone?
I am off the phone.
Well, I could still hear you, and you took it off speaker, so I was like, I'm moving you out of there.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Well, folks, that was Jeff Rom, the asset manager for the Rodriguez estate. And apparently somebody contacted him from my show, Alphabet Agency. And remember the guy that we were talking about at the very beginning? That one? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. If the rats are still on the ship, you're going down with the ship, folks. So I've forewarned you right here and now, because when I get done with this, I'm fixing to have a private phone call with that individual, and the whole case file is going to be presented to me on a silver platter.
Oh, wow, Floyd. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is
that's beautiful.
Very high up in the federal government. This is beyond the state of Texas now. Okay.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are in some serious freaking trouble.
Floyd's from the fuck around and find out, aren't you?
You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You play with stupid people, you're a stupid person. That's all I can say. I mean, I can't change people's mind. I'll dunk your head underwater, and all I'm asking you is just take a drink, but you're going to drown. So I've been forewarning you guys. I'm still forewarning you guys. You have your opportunity. It is 3:04. We are beyond the 222 deadline, 24 hours that I gave you guys to contact me regarding state's evidence. I have a list of all the names of the individuals who contacted me within the last 24 hours right here written down. Guess who's absolved of any wrongdoing? Those folks. And I will do an affidavit supporting that. Absolutely.
I am very proud of them.
Yeah, if you missed your opportunity to contact me, I feel sorry for you, because you're done. There's a fork in you now. So round up your family and have a heart-to-heart talk with them and tell them you've been involved with a criminal. You're still involved with a criminal, and you're going to have to face the consequences of your criminal activity. I'm not kidding with you guys. Okay. I'm straight up, being straight up. I cannot be any clearer of what you've done to yourselves. I didn't do this. You did it to yourselves. You allowed yourself to get in a cult, get brainwashed, and follow somebody else's narrative to the full extent, which crossed into criminal activity. Absolutely.
Would this make case precedents for your channel?
That's not what I'm looking for. I'm not,
I know.
I'm looking to save people time, money, and energy. Somebody out there is wasting that, you're not getting that back. And if
Right.
there's
I mean, like,
alternatives that I can provide, where you can go get what you're looking for, I will help you do that. And I tell everybody when they first talk to me, the first time they call me, and they're like, "Oh, really? I'm talking to Floyd? Yeah, you're talking to me. Who else did you think you would talk to when you called Floyd's phone number? Floyd." So,
no, I meant like use it as like this is what happens when you get involved with a cult and
oh
you
yeah,
become
we're gonna
so
go through all
hive-minded, that
that.
you go and you bum rush bully people that your cult leader has a disliking for.
Yeah,
That's all
absolutely.
that was happening.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, he was getting every one of you that participated to commit a first degree felony. I'm sorry, a third degree felony in the state of Texas. Absolutely. Because he's in Fort Worth. Okay. So whatever he tells you to do, and he sends that electronically, okay, via Telegram or any social media platform or electronic platform, that's wire transfers. That falls under the statutes in the Texas Penal Code. I'm not kidding with you folks. Please go do your own research. Go watch the video I did. I'm not making any of this up. These are just facts. Facts you cannot get around. And one thing the state of Texas loves to do is put people behind bars because they make tons of money doing it. That's why they always say you come to Texas on vacation, you're more than likely you're going to leave on probation. That's a real thing, folks. My show is based in Houston, Texas. Every time I do a video on YouTube, it asks me the location of that video. Houston, Texas. That's the jurisdiction I'm in. That's the jurisdiction my audience is in. Law parties. Go look it up. As I explained to you again, if I invite you to go to Chili's to get ribs, I know I keep promoting Chili's, so you don't have to go eat their ribs. There are better selections out there. But anyway, along the way, after I pick you up, I decide I want to bail into Shell and get a pack of cigarettes. But instead, I went and stole all the money out of the cash register with a 9mm. You didn't know about it. We're off eating ribs at Chili's, and we get raided by the SWAT team because I robbed a store. You don't know anything about it. Under law of parties, you're an accomplice. Even then, you didn't know about it. You didn't plan it. You didn't reap any of the proceeds from that robbery. So now you're facing 5 to 99 or life in prison behind going to get ribs. That's law of parties. The gentleman who gave me my name, Fearless Floyd, Michael Wayman Williams, over on the Ramsey 1 unit, went and got his master's degree. That's why he went there. He fell under law of parties. Walking home from high school, still in high school, 17 years old, group of high schoolers pulled up. Hey, you want to smoke some weed? Yeah, get in. All right, cool. Where's the weed? Whoa, we got to go get it. Okay. We stop by this guy's house. One of them runs in, comes back out with a bunch of weed. They're rolling hard, smoking, getting high. Boom, they get pulled over. Well, sadly, the guy who ran in the dope dealer's house executed the dope dealer, stole the dope, went and got in the car, and went and partied. So poor Michael never had an encounter with the legal system because he's still a high schooler, still 17 years old. Boom. Now he's arrested for capital murder, folks. Capital murder, 17. 5 to 99 or life in prison or the death penalty. His father convinced him to trust the justice system. His father convinced him to plea bargain for a life sentence as opposed to facing a trial where the consequences were the death penalty. So he plea bargained for an aggravated life sentence. Depending on the year which he committed his offense, he'll either have to do 30 years flat to come up for parole or 40 years flat to come up for parole, which would make him 37 or 47 to come up for parole. So imagine you're still in high school, haven't even graduated yet, and you're going to spend your entire adult life, the best years of your life, in prison. So let me explain to you folks, because I'm telling you, because I've been there, I've done it, got the scars to prove it. Prison is no fun place to be, especially in Texas. If you do not know how to handle Texas heat without an air conditioner, you're going to get a rude awakening, because there are no air conditioners in most of the Texas prisons. Unless you have some kind of infirmity or you're elderly, you're not getting on an air conditioned unit. More likely than not, you're going to a warehouse prison unit, or you're going to a red brick building. There are no air conditioners there, and it gets hot as fuck there. If you can't handle it, that's why I tell y'all, when the electricity goes out here, and I've spent 5 days in May, 5 days in July with no electricity, no AC, no nothing, it's nothing for me. I'm used to it. I'm acclimated to that type of life. Are you? Because you guys are going to prison for what you've done and what you still may continue to do. If you want to buddy up with a criminal, a serial criminal, who's facing not only state charges now we're up in the federal territory. That's Bureau of Prisons. Let me explain to you how that works, okay? Because the state of Texas, they're going to get their pound of flesh. Once they get you in their possession, they're going to hold you. They're going to let you go get bench warranted back to federal court, 515 Rusk, downtown Houston, get sentenced on your federal charges, or they may bench warrant you back to your jurisdiction.
They froze. Floyd, can you all hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay, now you're not froze. Okay, there.
Yeah. I know they're messing with me. You're going to do your state sentence, and then when you're done with your state sentence, whether you do it flat or on parole, you're going to go straight to the Bureau of Prisons to start that sentence. They don't have parole in the Bureau of Prisons. They have probation. You do the majority of whatever sentence you get, whether it's 12 months, 120 months, 240 months, because they go in months. They don't do years. You do the majority of that, and then you're going to get kicked out towards the end of your sentence and do the remainder on probation. So you're going to get double timed. You're going to do your state sentence, then you're going to go do your federal sentence. That's how it works. They are not run consecutively. They are run consecutively, not concurrent. They don't run together. You do one right after the other. So you're in for a fucking ride, and it's not going to be pretty. So you better think twice about what you're doing, who you want to run with, who you associate yourself with, and what you're trying to do. Because I told you, folks, I'm not playing. I'm done. You see, there are no trolls over here anymore. You know why? Because I know how to handle that. And I'm not trying to hear it. Y'all want to come over here and fuck with me, I'm going to lock your ass up. Because you're too chicken to take me up on my offer to come have a nice little recreation time where we can put in our mouthpiece and put on our MMA gloves and go a few rounds live on YouTube to show everybody that, you're not a coward. You're not a weekend keyboard warrior hiding in mommy's basement waiting on your little peanut butter and jelly sandwich with the crust cut off and your chicken noodle soup for lunch while your abusing and harassing and tormenting and embarrassing other people on the internet, because that's your life, because somebody else believes different from you. That's it. It's just a difference of beliefs, nothing else. That's what you've allowed yourself to do. Somebody else to control your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions. And they may still be doing it to this day. And if they are, you should probably seek some help. You need to get deprogrammed, because you're programmed, you're brainwashed, you're in a cult. I can't make it any plainer, any simpler to you folks. I told you, I'm going to do everything in my power to lock every single one of you up. Every one of you. I'm not playing. I gave you guys ample opportunity. I rarely get much traction over here on Rumble. Wait till this video that I did yesterday on J-Boy hits YouTube. Last I looked, it had 3,000 views. For me, that's astronomical on Rumble, because I haven't even paid attention to Rumble. It's not a platform I regularly use, if at all. I had thought at one time everything was just automatically uploading to Rumble from YouTube, so I didn't pay any attention to it. Well, sometime YouTube stopped that. So I had to go re-upload a bunch of stuff and actually come over here and pay attention to Rumble on my channel. So for 3,000 views for a video that I did is, like, again, astronomical. For Rumble, that's in the stratosphere. That's just, that's like me getting 1 million views on YouTube. Something I don't I've rarely experienced that. And I'm not going to have people come over here disrupting my show and violating the laws. I will hold you accountable as much as I can, every way I can, with every contact that I do have. Very rarely do I use the contacts that I have, simply because they're such powerful and authoritative contacts that when I approach them, I better come with my I's dotted, my T's crossed, proper grammar, proper syntax, proper everything. I better come proper. I better not come half-stepping. So when I come, I'm going to come fully prepared. I'm going to have a complete dossier. Thank God for that phone call from Jeff Rom. I'm fixing to get it all. All of it. I'm fixing to know every little thing there is about Sam Anderson. I'll know his entire life story. I'll know his kids' names, their date of birth. I'll know the whole 9 yards. He's toast. He's done. And if you're still hanging around with him, you're going to get caught up in it too. This is out of my hands now. This has some attention of people who have guns, badges, jails, prisons, probations, paroles, courts. They got all that. And they're going to come hold you accountable. You did it to yourself. Nobody did this to you. Nobody asked you. Nobody begged you. Nobody told you. Go over and harass these people. Go cyberstalk these people, because they're talking about things we don't believe in. So we're going to go call them liars, con artists, grifters, scammers, felons. Every element under cyberstalking in the Texas Penal Code. That's what you've done. You met every element repeatedly, over and over and over again. And now it's time for karma to come kick in your door and take you into custody and let you live a life of karmatic retribution. Sorry to say. If you're scared, terrified, alone, don't know who to talk to, don't know who to reach out to, you did that to yourself. You thought you were in a group of like-minded people doing the right thing. Now your entire constitution has been shattered to smithereens. You're crying, you're in tears, you're terrified, you're worried, you're scared, you don't want to go to jail, you don't want to lose everything, but you're going to, sadly. So you better pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and you better do the right thing. You need to look introspectively at yourself, your future, your past, your current status, and determine what type of life you would like to lead from here on out, because your life changed dramatically. And it may be a future that you don't want. Because I don't want anybody to go to prison, especially in Texas, because it is fucking horrible. Horrible. You're going to live with people that you would never even look at in the world. People who are grotesque, hideous, have no manners, no ethics, no morals, no standards, has no problem about lying to you and stealing your shit, or beating you up and raping you. There's a 50-pound weight difference in TDCJ under the classification system, which means if you weigh 170 pounds, that means a 230-pound individual, a 220-pound individual can be your cellie. So if you're just like a little skinny 170 pounds, but you got a 220-pound bodybuilder, weightlifter, cellie, and they're a sexual predator, we think that's going to look like. You don't want to catch that housing, they're going to give you a major case for refusing housing. You're going to get into a fist fight trying to defend yourself. You're going to get smoked and raped. How do I know all this? Well, on the Clemens unit back in 1983, 83, you heard me right, 83. I worked in the security office. I worked for the building major. I worked the graveyard shift. So every day at lunch, I would go eat lunch, and then I'd walk to the security office and go in, talk to the day crew. Hey, who's in on the chain? I'm looking at their transport cards. Walk out, look at them on the wall. I'm like, okay, I'll see you later. I'll see you later. And these guys are like, looking at me, who's that? Why'd you say that? Because of their stature, size, race, I knew that they were going to get beat down as soon as they walked in the cell block, and they were going to get all their property taken away from them, and they were going to get gang raped until they were spit out at the end of the night when it was rack time. And then they would be either in the infirmary or they'd be in their cell and get discovered sometime in the middle of the night and have to go on an ambulance to a hospital due to their injuries via multiple sexual assaults. I swear, tell truth, whole truth, nothing but truth, so help me God. I'm telling you, folks, I've been there. I've lived it. I know what that looks like. This is what you dumbasses have done to yourself and what you continue to do yourself when you associate with Sam Anderson, a.k.a. J-Boy, a.k.a. J-Boy Productions. If you can live with yourself, you want to continue to be a criminal, knock yourself out. I've got a humanitarian project to do, and that's to save as many people in this world and the world in and of itself. That's my goal. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what race you are, creed, beliefs, dogma. I don't give a fuck about none of that. If you want to better this world, better humanity, come on, man. Come join us. If you want to beat people up, knock people down, ridicule them for their beliefs because you have a different belief, we need to separate you. from society. And you did it to yourself. And you're going to get a free vacation to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Correctional Institution Division. If you can plead down and maybe get a state jail felony, well, you're just going to do 0 to 2 years. You may even cop out for some county jail time. You probably don't want to do county time in Harris County in one of those multiple facilities they have, because it's full of a bunch of fucking idiots. Yeah. Ones that don't care, don't have anything, never had anything, don't have a future, don't have an education. Only thing they know is out there on those streets, grinding, hustling, whatever that looks like. If it's criminal activity, it's criminal activity. That's how they're going to roll. I told you earlier in this video, I had a guy recycle through the prison system 3 times while I was on the wing unit. You're more than welcome to do whatever you want. If you want to go and cop out for probation, you're probably going to fail. And then they're going to, because you already pled guilty, did that plea bargain for that probated sentence, and you're going to screw up, and then they're going to throw the max at you, and you're going to go to prison and do your time again. It's called a layaway plan. So if you can't handle probation, you probably should go to prison, get that out of the way, and get out on parole and do parole. Parole is much easier than probation. How do I know? I've been on both at the same time. You have to ask. I told you I share my experiences with you, my knowledge, my research, things that I've done. You don't have to believe me. Go do your own research. Every name I've thrown at you, go do your own research. Every entity I've thrown at you, go do your own research. Don't listen to Floyd. Floyd has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Isn't that what y'all said? I know some of y'all are still saying that. But that's fine. You know why? When I go upstairs tonight, I lay my head down on my pillow, I have peace of mind. Because I know I didn't violate any laws today. All I did was try to help people as many ways as I can. And I have a clear conscience. And I'm doing my part for humanity by trying to save one person a day. That's my goal. So if I reached one person today, I did my job. And I will be blessed and rewarded tenfold. Why do you think I do what I do? I just come down here and stuff happens to me. Repeat, just like that phone call. Just the craziest, unbelievable, remarkable things happen to me in my life. The people I encounter, the information I receive. So don't think for a minute, not 1 minute, that you're off the hook. I warned you. I gave you guys an opportunity the first time when I did the video, Eating Crow with J-Boy. That was a meeting of the minds. That was a forum where we could agree to disagree and move on. However, you failed to hear the message. And when you don't hear, what happens? You're going to perish for lack of knowledge. Y'all thought I was an easy target, easy pickings. Now you know you were 100% wrong. Y'all are listening to a person that's a failed filmmaker who is 100% supported and living on the money that you have sent him. You're supporting him and his family while you live in a car or your apartment's fixing to get evicted, your house foreclosed on, your electricity cut off because you're sending Just that last little bit to Sam to support some baseball league, baseball team. Really? No, that's not how that works, folks. Again, go do your own research and find out how a youth league is set up and operates. I've been there. I've shared my experience with you, how that works, what that looks like. Sam has buffaloed you guys, conned you, scammed you, lied to you about everything. Everything. He has no contacts. He's got the same contacts everybody else is. He hears stuff and then he relays it to you like he has that contact. He's full of shit. And now you're in it. So you probably want to get yourself out of it. I want to thank Buffy. Most of all, I want to thank Cory for coming on the show. And I want to thank Jeff Rom for his guest appearance via phone. I want to thank for all the participants who've left chats, comments. I want to thank everybody on Cory's audience for watching the show. I want to thank Cory's parents for producing such a fine young man. I look forward to having him on the show again, more and more and more. When I get off the phone here, or off this show, I'm going to go eat. And then I'm going to start doing some phone calls and interviews with that list of folks over there who've contacted me over the past 24 hours regarding Sam Anderson, all the individuals in the groups, okay, because y'all thought y'all could go hide behind your aliases and your pseudonyms, but there are folks in your Telegram groups, okay, who actually have a conscience, who actually have empathy and sympathy, and actually realize right and wrong. And they are giving you up. They're giving up your pseudonyms, your aliases, and your real name, all the information they have about you. They're giving it to me. Absolutely. So if you think you're going to go run and hide, or you're going to delete your profile or delete all your comments, those have already been recorded and documented. I've already run through the whole thing. All of it. I've got it recorded. I did that immediately because I'm in fear of my life due to the posts in that room. 100%. I've said it on the record. I'm stating again on the record. So I'm going to tell you, if you don't have any business being around my house, don't come here. Because I am in fear of my life, I will use deadly force, whatever that looks like, whatever it takes to protect myself and my property. This is a very serious matter that I take very seriously. And this is going all the way to the top. I'm not going to let this rest. Y'all found the right one. Let me show you a little patch I got. Fuck around, find out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I'll see you tomorrow at noon. I'll be back at 1 o'clock Central with Dr. Kia Ebeling, clinical hypnotherapist, past life regressionist, health coach, and a whole bunch of other things, ordained metaphysical minister, which definitely going to have to find out what that means. Look forward to having a pretty face on the show, besides my mug. Going to be a very interesting show. I've had her on here before. Look forward to having her. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. Like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell, leave a comment below. This video will be posted on YouTube next week. My 1 week ban is up on Tuesday of next week, so I will have a whole new slate of guests and shows. Next Wednesday will be Jason McLeod, who was supposed to be on yesterday. I'm going to get James C. Lovett to come on. Don't know what day I'll have him. I want him to give us an update. He's approaching 80,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you're not a subscriber to James C. Lovett, Lovett, 2 T's, on YouTube, go check him out. Blacksite23.com is his website. If you want to know anything about being a real, true national, according to the United States statutes, codes, acts, and treaties, he's your man. Right to travel, he's your man. If you're familiar with the copper moonshine still process for the passports, James C. Lovett took it to an entirely different level. Look forward to having my boy on the show. Who knows? May have Dr. Kennedy next week. Hopefully she'll be over here whipping up something in the kitchen for you. We'll have to see. I don't know what that looks like, but definitely we'll have Jason back on Wednesday. We'll have James C. Lovett sometime during that week. I've got to work around his schedule, even if I have to do a pre-recording with him to get it on for you guys during the week at noon, I will. I try to do my noon show, and I do it for a reason, especially for Mark's audience, because Mark gives the news in the morning. As you know, I come out here and fix coffee, 9 o'clock. I'm sitting here watching Mark, drinking my coffee, answering emails, texts, everything. Then I go up, take a shower, get prepared for my day. So I'll try to give you all the guys what news I can accumulate and give you at noon. And then Mark can come back on at 6. We do communicate. We don't always share the information that we have. I can tell you for a fact, Mark's holding back on a lot of information that he's not even telling you he has it. And there's a reason for that. Just like Jeff has reiterated over and over and over. We're not going to tell you how close we are. We're not going to tell you what rates that what we're being informed about. I've got a fly buzzing around here. I don't know where he came from. I'm going to get him. That's why this thing keeps getting delayed from what he's being told. Is we keep putting the narrative out there and they keep putting it off. So we have to be quiet. So I had a conference call earlier. I'm not going to tell you who was on that call. At least 3 people. I'll put it to you that way. That's a conference call. And the things that were discussed on that call, I cannot tell you. I wish I could. I really do. Because you would be tickled pink, probably dancing a jig in the middle of your living room floor, and then laying on the floor with your feet kicking up in the air, just all excited because everything you've been dreaming about and hoping will come true. It's right around the corner. So stay tuned. You're going to be very, very, very happy with everything that's forthcoming. That's basically all I can tell you without giving it away. So just stay tuned, be prepared, be ready for when it does occur. And I don't know if it's next week or the week after that or the week after that, but let's just put it this way. Very soon. About best I can narrow it down for you. Is it going to be September or October or 2024? I'm not even going there. I'm going to leave it right at very soon. Take that as you may. Okay. And if we're going to listen to Mark's gut, I think Mark ate Bruce. And that's why his gut keeps telling him, well, it's got to be this month. It's got to be this month. It's got to be this month. We got to be at the end of the week or whatever. So that's funny. Banknote World, secure the hot new 500 Venezuela Digital. You can pre-order them there. So they just sent out a little text. I get them all the time. So there you go. If you have not built your trust, you want to build a trust, you can go to my website or you can go to my YouTube. There's a 19-part video that Ann and I put together for you guys, all about the Revocable Living Trust. If you're still at a hurdle that you can't quite get over and you need to take a class, we offer a class on the Revocable Living Trust. In that class, complete instructions, templates, examples, everything you need to create your trust, get your EIN from the IRS, and set up your non-interest bearing bank account. If you'd like to get the book, you can get the ebook. The ebook consists of 7 different trusts. You can print the book out, or you can get the softcover book itself, same format, 7 different trusts. Create what you need out of it, pass it off to a relative, to your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, your parents, your siblings, your children, your nieces and nephews, your cousin. Pass it around. We're not tripping. I'm not asking you to buy 10 books for your big clan. Get one, pass it around. Just like I showed you earlier with the PMA class that David Lester Straight and his little clique are charging y'all $2,500 for something that I sell for $79. And if you would like a lesser quality PMA, they're out there for free on the internet. You just got to go look for them. If you want and you need and have to have your hand held the entire way, every little detail explained to you, $79. You can get Ann's class. Almost a 90-minute presentation and almost a 2-hour Q&A. 2 separate videos. That's what these gurus are doing to you guys. They're totally beating you up. They're getting their nut cut on one deal for their month. I don't know what it costs them to live, but for most people, $2,500, that's a lot of money. Especially those just struggling to survive in this economy. And David's out here just tearing your head off, shitting down your neck, and using you to wipe his ass and throwing you away. That's what David Lester Straight's doing. And I keep trying to express this to you folks. These gurus out here, man, they are just bad news. They are not looking out for you. They're looking out for their own wallets, their own livelihood. Like Cory come on here and say, man, I'm doing everything for free, been doing everything for free. It's so refreshing. That's why I try to do as many things as I can for free. Jesse's module class, it's $10. I put the first module free on YouTube. Did the Q&A free on YouTube. Yeah, it's only $10, but it gives you an introduction to what all of that is about. So just go check it out for free. Just turn it on and listen to it. If it's something that catches your attention, pay attention. If it doesn't, let it go. It was free. You got a free $10 value. 5 and 5. You can look at it like that. 5 for watching this video, 5 for watching that video. There's no reason you should pay hundreds or thousands of dollars for anything. Nothing. There is no process out there, regardless of what it is, that you should pay hundreds or thousands of dollars to learn or to complete. Most of this information is out there free, freely available. You just have to go find it. It's a little work. Most people don't want to do the work. They're too lazy. Stop being lazy. Start doing your own research. If everybody in Sam Anderson's group would have done their own research and figured out, oh, hey, you know what, guys? I think we're violating a law here called cyberstalking in Texas. But nobody was bright enough to do that. Nobody had the integrity or courage to stand up to J-Boy and say, hey, you know what? We're serial criminals. We're violating the law. I think we should stop. You would probably have gotten ostracized and kicked out of the room and shamed and embarrassed. But at least you stood up for what is right. But you didn't. You had a lax of judgment because you were brainwashed.
And Floyd, I want to interject and say that research and taking money from gurus in the whole spiritual realm as well is, I would think, more so heavy than in the like sovereign law realm, because so many people are seeking that too. And most things that they have taught, anything that they have taught, they have taken from either the Bible or older text, Gnostic text too. So giving money to these gurus, be it, legal guru, any type of guru, is you're still seeking outside yourself, right? You're not trusting yourself. You're not trusting how you think and how you feel about the situations in your own life. So that's something to reflect upon, and to even seek guidance for, as far as within yourself in some form of meditative state that does not have any outside feedback. I yield.
Thank you, Buffy, for adding to that. I can sit here and go on and on and on and on, but I really don't want to beat a dead horse anymore. And I'd really like to just put this to rest and not even address it anymore on any one of my shows or any one of my platforms. But sadly, that's probably not going to be the case. For those of you who've reached out to me, I will get to you. I'm getting to you one by one. You all have a unique story. You have a lot to tell me, a lot to send me, and a lot to present to me. So bear with me as I get to you, each one of you, and I've got a lot to deal with. I don't even know if I'll have time to get through all of them today, and I still have a good, 7 hours of work left today to be able to complete. So if I don't get to you today and you've sent me something, I'll get to you tomorrow. So I'm coming. Don't think I just cast you aside and like what you have to offer is not important. Because if you contacted me, you reached out to me, it's important to me. It doesn't matter what the topic is, doesn't matter what your situation is. If you've reached out to me, it's important. Just like I tell you guys, when I answer my phone on a live call, it may be important. It could be you in distress, needing somebody to talk to who will reassure you so you're not in distress. And if you're part of J-Boy's group and you're in distress right now, well, you should probably reach out and want to talk to me. I know there's a group of you who've separated yourselves and you're kind of lost and trying to figure out what y'all want to do. If y'all want to do a group call or a group recording, I'll do that. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem talking to anybody about anything at any time. It's up to you to whether or not you have the integrity and courage to come talk to somebody like myself who's caught you red-handed with your cookie, with your hand in the cookie jar with a cookie in it. I mean, you're busted, red-handed, dead to the rights, as we say. And you did it to yourself. So the best thing you can do now is help yourself get out of your current situation. Because just because you were even associated and a member of that Telegram room, and that Telegram was used to facilitate multiple felony offenses, guess what you're part of? a criminal organization. Absolutely. Is a district attorney or attorneys general going to take the time and effort to go find the mere outlying minions that really didn't participate or do anything? They were just in the room. They never posted. All they did was listen. Probably not. The ones who participated, laughed, commented on the constitution of the person being attacked, like myself. Oh, Floyd looks upset. His face is really red. Maybe we should get out the shovel and the coffin. Are those people you want to associate with? People that are threatening other people's lives? Because that's what you're in. That's what you've done to yourselves. You don't realize it, but listen, I encourage everybody, please contact your legal counsel and explain to them what you've done, what you're involved in, and tell them they're more than likely, they don't have to go watch my warning notice video. They can go look up the statutes themselves under the Texas Penal Code, make sure they look up law parties to begin with, then cyber stalking and harassment, and then tell them to go look up the actual penalties for a third-degree felony, a second-degree felony, and a misdemeanor. And if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all tomorrow at noon. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you come save the world, hurry up. Damn, hurry up. We need to send Santa to come pick you up. That guy can get around quick.